Chapter 3002. That's right. Only by defeating the Moon Shadow Estate can we enter the top 8 and surpass all the predecessors. Myriad Sword Sect also looked at Jin Xian and said. This result was something he did not dare to imagine before, but now that he was standing here, endless courage had already risen in his heart. Top 8. What a tempting number. Jin Xian raised his eyebrows and revealed an expectant smile. Then he asked, "All right. When will the next round of battles begin? I wonder if there's enough time for the others to cultivate to advance." Normally speaking, the next round of battles should have begun by now. Our best course of action is to immediately head to the new area to search for opportunities. However, they are at a critical moment in their cultivation and should not be suitable for migration. Knight Sorrow voiced his judgment. He felt that the moment he eliminated the Heavenly Lord Estate, the next round had already begun. As for whether the Moon Shadow Estate had already defeated the other estate, he was not sure. How about Brother Yi? You go over and check it out like last time to see if there are any opportunities. Myriad Sword Sect looked at Knight Sorrow and said. As soon as his voice fell, he added, "But the Moon Shadow Estate is definitely stronger than the Heavenly Lord Estate. How about you not clash with them first? It's good to go and check it out, lest the opportunities are taken by the Moon Shadow Estate." Knight Sorrow glanced at the others who were cultivating and replied, "All right. We'll go immediately. We can't let others beat us to it." The Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast had already tasted the sweetness. After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, he looked eager to give it a try. "All right. Then let's go and fight first." Knight Sorrow prepared to go after saying that. However, at this moment, there was another commotion over at the cultivating crowd. Xiao Tianxian came out of seclusion. After coming out of seclusion, his aura was very restrained. Clearly, he had reached the peak of the ruler realm, which was half-step supreme. In terms of cultivation realm, he was already the same as Myriad Sword Sect. However, Myriad Sword Sect benefited from a disaster and obtained the evil demon sword. Furthermore, his mind was connected with it, and his strength increased by a lot. Overall, Xiao Tianxuan's strength should be slightly weaker than him. After Xiao Tianxian came out of seclusion, he heard that Knight Sorrow had eliminated the Heaven Monarch territory. He was also very happy. However, he did not agree to let Knight Sorrow and the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast investigate again. He was afraid that Knight Sorrow would encounter the Lunar Shadow Estate and be no match for them. That works too. Then I'll also cultivate for a few days. Knight Sorrow was dissuaded by Xiao Tianxian and went to cultivate as well. Cultivating here would definitely yield twice the results with half the effort. Since he had decided not to explore, he immediately seized the time to cultivate. After Knight Sorrow entered the state of cultivation, 20 years quickly passed. In these 20 years, everyone in the deity world had come out of seclusion one after another. Everyone, including Wu Lingfei, had broken free of the intermediate sovereign level. Enter the higher level dominator rank. Murong Jinlu and Yuan Fengxue had both entered the peak sovereign realm. Their strength was only slightly weaker than Xiao Tianxuan's, but they had also improved a lot. After coming out of seclusion, Yuan Fengxue smiled and said, "No wonder everyone is fighting to enter the championship battle. Even if we don't do anything here, our strength will increase greatly." At this time, Xiao Tianxian said, "Actually, it's not as good as you think. We can cultivate peacefully for so many years without any disturbances. This is all thanks to Knight Sorrow single-handedly eliminating the Heaven Monarch territory. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to achieve this." "That's right. Brother Yi, you've created such good conditions for us. We must play a role in the battle against the Lunar Shadow Estate. We can't let him suffer alone." Master Wan Jian also said. Speaking of which, his life was saved by Knight Sorrow from the evil sword Earthly Sovereign's hands. Now that the evil sword Earthly Sovereign was in his hands, guiding his cultivation and steadily increasing his strength, his gratitude towards Knight Sorrow was indescribable. "That's right. The battle for Providence has entered the final stage, and we've been spectators. There's no point in existing like this. That's not good." Xue Chongtian also lamented. After the second round of the competition, he was basically a bystander and did not contribute at all. Now that his strength had increased, he was eager to try. At this time, Wu Lingfei suddenly said, Brother Wan, I would like to challenge you to test my strength. Challenge me? Master Wan Jian smiled when he heard Wu Lingfei's words. According to Night Sorrow, his current strength could be ranked in the top 50 of the battle for Providence. He felt that Wu Lingfei would not stand a chance. That's right. I'll challenge you. However, we'll only spar and not risk our lives, Wu Lingfei said firmly. Of course. Master Wan Jian smiled and continued, since that's the case, let's fight in the void. Okay. Wu Lingfei responded and flew into the void as well. At this time, Xiao Tianxian reminded her, be careful. Don't disturb Night Sorrow's cultivation or expose his whereabouts. Don't worry. Master Wan Jian nodded at Xiao Tianxian and looked at Wu Lingfei confidently. You go first. All right. As Wu Lingfei spoke, the armor on her body suddenly burned with hot flames. However, her aura was incomparably cold. As Wu Lingfei attacked, Master Wan Jian gradually realized that he had underestimated his opponent. Wu Lingfei's strength was obviously much stronger than he had imagined. He had to be careful when dealing with her. At the end of the battle, Master Wan Jian was surprised to find that if he did not use his killer move, he could only fight to a draw with Wu Lingfei. However, even if he did not use his killer move, she did not use hers either. Therefore, their battle ended in a draw. A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at with new eyes. After the battle, Master Wan Jian held his sword and gestured to Wu Lingfei. While admiring her, he was also in a good mood. After all, Wu Lingfei's increase in strength also increased the strength of the realm of the gods. It would be of more help to the battle with the Moon Shadow Estate. Haha. I didn't expect Lingfei to have such battle strength. In my opinion, our realm of the gods has a lot of potential this time. Xiao Tianxian praised Wu Lingfei with a smile. The others in the realm of the gods also looked at Wu Lingfei with surprise. No one would have thought that her strength would increase so quickly. The extent of her improvement should be second only to Night Sorrow. I hope we can cross the mountain in front of us and successfully advance to the top 8. Everyone began to praise Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei smiled and said, that's right. At this time, the changes in their strength made some of the Supremes who were watching from the outside feel a lot of pressure. Supreme Yu Ling sighed. All the people from the realm of the gods who are participating in this battle for Providence must be killed. Otherwise they will grow. We will definitely not have peace. She could already see that these people in the realm of the gods were growing into a golden generation under the influence of Night Sorrow. Clan M. Chapter 3003. If not for Night Sorrow, Myriad Sword Sect and the rest would definitely have declined along with the Divine World territory. But with Night Sorrow's rise, they had obtained large amounts of resources and the chance to fight. This way, their future had changed completely. Everyone had the chance to grow into an expert. Yes, we must kill them completely. This time, no one from the Divine World territory can leave. After Supreme Yu Ling finished speaking, many people immediately agreed. These supreme martial artists were not from the 4 sacred grounds, but they had attacked the Supreme Longevity back then and formed a grudge with the Divine World territory. While many supreme martial artists were plotting against the Divine World territory, Night Sorrow was still cultivating. Among the rest of the Divine World territory, some were guarding Night Sorrow while others were searching for the ancient tree that had turned into a spirit. Through the battle with the ancient tree, they were training their own battle techniques. While the Divine World territory was patiently preparing, the Moon Shadow territory had already defeated their opponents and successfully removed the seal. They had successfully entered the space connected to the Divine World territory. Fairy Yuan, do you think the Heavenly Lord territory on the other side has already destroyed the Divine World territory? The Moon Shadow territory's deputy leader, Yu Miao, asked Yu Yen the moment the seal was removed. The difference in strength between the Heavenly Lord territory and the Divine World territory is like heaven and earth. If there are no accidents, the Heavenly Lord territory will definitely advance before us. Fairy Yuan said cautiously, they entered first, so they should be more familiar with the terrain than us. Everyone, be careful. After all, the Heavenly Lord territory was ranked 9th in the previous competition. They are not much weaker than us. Yes, Fairy Yuan. After hearing that, the rest of the Moon Shadow territory began to move forward cautiously. They were afraid of being ambushed by the Heavenly Lord territory. Little did they know that the Heavenly Lord Territory people had already been sent out by Night Sorrow. It was precisely because of the Moon Shadow Territory people's cautiousness that Night Sorrow and the Divine World Territory cultivators had more time to improve their strength. About 3 years later, Night Sorrow successfully advanced to an upper-level dominator. After completely breaking through, Night Sorrow's aura already made the Divine World Territory people feel heavy pressure. After advancing to an upper-level dominator, his aura was similar to some of the older supreme martial artists in the Divine World Territory. Originally, I thought that once I became a higher dominator, the gap between us would close. But I didn't expect that we'd only close the gap between our realms and not our strength. After Night Sorrow came out of seclusion, Wu Lingfei revealed a gratified smile. Hearing this, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "You're not bad either. Now, let's make the best use of our time and head to the Eternal Divine Tower. Let's see if we can obtain the opportunities in the last few levels. It's best that the Moon Shadow Estate doesn't get these opportunities." In the previous battle, Night Sorrow and the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast were unable to clear the Eternal Divine Tower even after joining forces. As a result, they did not obtain the final rewards. Now, he wanted to quickly obtain those fortuitous encounters and increase his strength, so that he could engage in a fierce battle with the Moon Shadow Estate. Good. Let's go there immediately. Upon hearing this, Xiao Tianxian immediately summoned everyone back. Following which, under the lead of Night Sorrow, everyone from the God World Territory headed towards the Eternal Divine Tower. When they reached the vicinity of the Eternal Divine Tower, they did not encounter anyone from the Moon Shadow Estate. It was just that after entering, the battle was not as easy as Night Sorrow thought. This time, he and the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast joined forces with everyone from the God World Territory to attack together. But they only passed the 31st level's test. They were easily defeated by the 32nd level's Holy Spirit. They did not even reach the 33rd level, let alone break through completely. Actually, Night Sorrow was not sure that the Moon Shadow Estate had only broken through the 31st level. Exactly the same result as the God World Territory. Generally speaking, only people from the 4 great sacred lands could defeat the 32nd level's Holy Spirit. As for territories that could defeat the 33rd level's Holy Spirit, they had never appeared before. In addition, in these few years, the Moon Shadow Estate had carefully investigated and did not discover any fortuitous encounters similar to the Eternal Divine Tower. The people from the Moon Shadow Estate have not appeared yet. Our fortuitous encounters are basically like this. Why don't we go look for them? After retreating from the Eternal Divine Tower, everyone from the God World Territory spent a month's time to completely recover from their injuries. Then the Myriad Sword Sect, who was full of fighting spirit, suggested, "Good. Our strength should have reached a bottleneck, and there won't be much improvement in a short period of time. It's time to fight with our opponents." Night Sorrow nodded and continued, "The Moon Shadow Estate was ranked 5th in the previous competition, and they are very strong. When fighting, everyone prioritizes self-preservation. As for that so-called Fairy Yu Yan, I have confidence in defeating her. Don't worry, the Moon Shadow Estate's advantage against us now should only be in numbers. Apart from you and Fairy Yu Yan, who are extraordinary, we have confidence in fighting against the rest." Myriad Sword Sect said confidently. Now, he and Wu Lingfei's strength were at the level of charging into the top 50, and Xiao Tianxian could almost rank in the top 100. Coupled with the Supreme Stage chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast, their top combat strength should not be inferior to the Moon Shadow Estate. Good. Let's strive to create history together. However, there's something I want to say first. This battle will definitely be unprecedentedly difficult. If anyone encounters danger, don't hesitate to crush your identity token immediately. Before officially leaving, Night Sorrow instructed in a grave tone. He knew that the overall strength of the Divine World was definitely weaker than the Moon Shadow Estate. When fighting, there would definitely be people injured and people would be tested by life and death. He did not want to see anyone from the Divine World die in the battle for Providence. Yes, our Divine World Estate's results in this year's battle for Providence are already good enough. Everyone, don't be too stubborn when fighting. Xiao Tianxian gave the same instruction and began to discuss tactics with the rest. While searching for the Moon Shadow Estate, everyone decided to split into a few groups again and use a joint attack formation. As for Night Sorrow and the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast, They relied on their own combat strength to fight. There's a situation ahead. Everyone, be careful to conceal your aura. After searching in the small world for about half a month, Night Sorrow finally found traces of the Moon Shadow Estate on a mountain peak. It turned out that the Moon Shadow Estate currently thought that their opponent was the Heavenly Lord Estate, so they were very careful. All of them were hiding in a cave on a mountain peak. Only 4 cultivators were left outside to observe the surrounding situation. Night Sorrow saw the 4 hidden sentries through the sea serpent's eye, so he got everyone to hide their auras. He patiently observed the movements of the sentries in the Moon Shadow Estate, wanting to determine the location of the other people in the Moon Shadow Estate. The Moon Shadow Estate's behavior clearly showed that they did not want to fight head-on. He had to be careful in case the Divine World Estate was ambushed. Genius memorized this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3004. The Moon Shadow Estate is so strong. Why would they need to hide in a cave? Are they planning to catch us off guard when we pass by? Night Sorrow explained the situation in the distance, and Master Wan Jian mocked. They really don't deserve to be in the top 5. In his opinion, cultivators should fight with real swords and spears. There was no point in cowering. The leader of the Moon Shadow Estate is Fairy Yu Yan. She's a woman, so she might be more meticulous than us. Xiao Tianxian said, then looked at Night Sorrow and said, Night Sorrow, what do you think we should do? Should we sneak up and ambush them? They must have felt that the Heaven Monarch Realm's territory had advanced to the next level. Furthermore, the Heaven Monarch Realm's territory defeated us very quickly. They must be afraid that the Heaven Monarch Realm's territory would enter the public area between the 2 regions first and set up some traps. Night Sorrow observed for a while and said his judgment. Since they're worried that the Heaven Lord Estate will set up a trap, they'll definitely make use of that mountain peak. This way, it won't be easy for us to ambush them. Murong Guides glanced at the mountain peak, but he didn't have the sea serpent's eye and could only see the vague outline of the mountain peak. At this time, Yi Shang thought for a moment and said, I think everyone shouldn't think too much. If I were to challenge Fairy Yue Yan, I would be able to defeat her. If I challenge her, she'll definitely accept it. As long as I defeat her, the Moon Shadow Estate will have lost half of their forces. Originally, he wanted to lead the people of the Heavenly Realm to ambush the Moon Shadow Estate. But after thinking about it, Night Sorrow felt that Murong Guides made sense. The Moon Shadow Estate must have done something on the mountain peak. If they fought with the Moon Shadow Estate cultivators on the mountain peak, they wouldn't have a good ending. You and Fairy Yu Yan fight? That's a good idea. As long as Fairy Yu Yan is defeated, they won't hide in there anymore. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Master Wan Jian immediately supported him. At this moment, Wu Lingfei said worriedly, Night Sorrow, are you confident? After all, Fairy Yu Yan is ranked in the top 10 in the battle for Providence. I'm confident. I don't think there's a single sovereign in the Eternal Paragon world who can suppress me. Night Sorrow said confidently. Now that he had become an upper-level dominator, he was only a step away from becoming a half-step supreme. Under these circumstances, he was confident that he could defeat all of the sovereigns. Isn't that the #1 sovereign of the Eternal Paragon realm? After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. After everyone heard this, they didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. They all laughed. At this moment, Night Sorrow continued. In terms of strength alone, I'm no weaker than any of the Eternal Sovereigns. However, the top 4 territories definitely have many trump cards that we don't know about. Therefore, I'm not sure if I can defeat the strongest of the 4 great holy lands. It's already not easy for you to reach where you are today, even though you were born in the divine realm. Don't compare it to the 4 great holy lands. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Master Wan Jian smiled and continued, If you're sure, then I'll go and challenge you. No need, I'll do it myself. Night Sorrow patted Master Wan Jian's shoulder and said, I'll go and fight in a while. You guys be ready to fight at any time. The sword in my hand is already starting to heat up. Master Wan Jian said, full of fighting spirit. After everyone was ready, Night Sorrow slowly flew toward the mountain peak where the Moon Shadow Estate was located. After flying for a distance, Night Sorrow used Dragon Roar and shouted toward the mountain peak, Yu Yan! In the square, I once said that you and I will definitely fight. Now that I'm here to accept the challenge, where are you? Isn't this Night Sorrow? Could it be that the divine realm eliminated the Heavenly Lord estate? After Night Sorrow shouted, everyone in the Moon Shadow estate looked at the people around them in surprise. Even Fairy Yu Yen couldn't believe her ears. However, very quickly, Night Sorrow shouted the same words again. In addition, the sentries outside came in to report. Only then did everyone in the Moon Shadow estate completely confirm that the one who appeared was indeed Night Sorrow. This proved that the divine realm had indeed eliminated the Heavenly Lord estate. How did they eliminate the Heavenly Lord estate? This is too unbelievable. After confirming that the divine realm had eliminated the Heavenly Lord estate, Yu Hua, the deputy leader of the Moon Shadow estate, frowned and said, no matter what, he couldn't think of how the divine realm had won. After all, when they first met, the divine realm estate was so inconspicuous. At this time, Fairy Yu Yen, who was originally sitting on a stone chair, slowly stood up. She guessed, I think it should be this Night Sorrow who suppressed young Master Ling Tian of the Heavenly Lord estate and eliminated the Heavenly Lord estate through a bet. Otherwise, he definitely wouldn't dare to challenge me. That should be the case. Fairy Yu Yen, will you go out and fight, or will our Yu Ling estate swarm forward? Yu Hua asked with a face full of fighting spirit. If the opponent was the Heavenly Lord estate, he wouldn't be worried. But now, the opponent was the Divine Realm estate, which was unimaginable. This made him feel very awkward and he didn't know how to fight. Of course I'll go out and fight. Fairy Yu Yan's name is not for nothing. Fairy Yu Yan said coldly, then continued, but I won't agree to any of his conditions for the battle. It's impossible for their territory in the divine world to sneak past our Moon Shadow estate. Fairy Yu Yan is wise. Then let us wish Fairy victory in advance. After Fairy Yu Yan finished speaking, many cultivators of the Moon Shadow estate hurriedly cheered for her. Then, Fairy Yu Yan took a step forward and appeared outside the cave. After she appeared, the others of the Moon Shadow estate also walked out of the cave and stood on the mountain peak. In their opinion, the Heavenly Lord estate needed to be well guarded. As for the Divine Realm estate in front of them, it was not a threat at all. There was no need to use the prepared trap at all. Night Sorrow, you want to fight with me? I'll satisfy you. But don't mention the fearless bet. I won't be like young Master Ling Tian and fall for your trick. In an instant, Fairy Yu Yan held two crescent-shaped battle blades in her hands and leaped into the void to look at Night Sorrow. What trick? Hearing Fairy Yu Yan's words, Night Sorrow was completely confused. You know the answer. If you didn't win young Master Ling Tian through the bet, how could your Divine Realm estate eliminate the Heavenly Lord estate? Fairy Yu Yan said disdainfully. Unreasonable. You'd better use the battle blades in your hands to do the talking. Night Sorrow said indifferently. He felt that he didn't need to explain anything to her. I was right, wasn't I? Although I have the confidence to defeat you, I won't promise you anything. Fairy Yu Yan said with a cold smile and threw the battle blades in her hands into the void. Genius memorized this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3005. You really have a persecutory delusion. Why would I need to scheme against you? I'll just defeat you directly. Facing Fairy Yu Yan's attack, Night Sorrow snorted calmly and waved his golden heavenly halberd to defend himself. He successfully blocked her attack. The heavenly monarch territory was completely defeated and scared away by him. There was no scheme at all. At this moment, he did not want to bet with her. Instead, he wanted to severely injure her severely and damage the Moon Shadow estate's morale. Furthermore, the Moon Shadow estate had lost their strongest person, Fairy Yu Yan. Their strength would definitely be greatly reduced. The realm of God's chances of winning would also increase because of this. You have some strength. No wonder you could defeat young Master Ling Tian. But it's not enough to defeat me with such strength. Fairy Yu Yan did look like a fairy in a fluttering dress. However, when it came to battle, she instantly turned into a female leopard. She fiercely threw out two crescent blades and threw them into the void. Then, she took out a 3-foot short sword from her spatial artifact. When the two blades rose to a height of 10,000 feet, they shot green cylindrical flames at Night Sorrow below. Fairy Yu Yan's figure flashed as well. Together with the two pillars of light, she attacked Yi Chong. Green flames. Seeing the two fire pillars shooting at him, Night Sorrow immediately used the void transition technique to dodge 1,000 feet away. After he created his movement technique, he was more and more familiar with it. He was almost at the point of perfection. Die! However, just as Night Sorrow dodged, Fairy Yu Yan, whose movement technique was equally outstanding, caught up with him. Using her short sword, she slashed at the back of Night Sorrow's broad neck with a whoosh. Good sword. It's tricky. When Fairy Yu Yan slashed with her sword, a thought flashed through Night Sorrow's mind. He immediately used the Divine Essence Trap Array. He locked his opponent in a narrow space and dodged the attack at the same time. What kind of move is this? Fairy Yu Yan was surprised to be locked in the enclosed space of the Divine Essence Trap Array. Then, she used her short sword to attack the barrier in front of her. Forbidden Spear. At the same time, Night Sorrow suddenly fired a shot into the sealed space. This shot did not contain many attributes or rules, but it was fast, accurate, and ruthless. The killing power was extremely strong. After piercing through the barrier, it went straight for Fairy Yu Yan's neck. An eye for an eye. A tooth for a tooth. Very good. It seems like I'll have to use some tricks to fight you. Fairy Yu Yan, who did not break out of the formation immediately, summoned a copper lock without hesitation. He silently chanted the incantation. After she recited the incantation, Night Sorrow immediately felt that the space around Fairy Yu Yan was completely locked down. His attack landed squarely on a layer of solid barrier. When it was less than an inch away from Fairy Yu Yan's neck, it was completely blocked. Spatial Lock Retract. After blocking Night Sorrow's attack, Fairy Yu Yan immediately put away the spatial lock and summoned the two full moon blades outside to attack the sealed space. In an instant, the Divine Essence trapping formation was broken. Fire Beacon City. After escaping, Fairy Yu Yan's expression became much more serious. Without further ado, she took out a scroll from her spatial Dharma artifact and threw it into the void. Night Sorrow immediately saw that his surroundings were burning with smoke. This smoke seems to be poisonous. Fairy Yu Yan had just released the fire beacon painting when Night Sorrow felt a little dizzy, and all his senses were blinded. Soon, even his eyes could not see anything clearly. Sea Serpent Eye activate. At this moment, Night Sorrow immediately activated the Sea Serpent Eye and observed the situation around him. The Sea Serpent Eye, which could see through illusions, could not see through the fire beacon painting in front of him. This painting is not simple. It's definitely one of the secret treasures of the Moon Shadow Estate. Unable to see through the fire beacon painting, and without any secret treasures to break it, Night Sorrow could not think of a countermeasure. In an instant, he stood rooted to the ground as if he had lost all his senses. Haha! This Night Sorrow is definitely going to lose. Without any secret treasures, he obviously can't break the fire beacon painting of our Moon Shadow Estate. Seeing that Night Sorrow was trapped by Fairy Yu Yan's fire beacon painting, the vice chief of the Moon Shadow Estate, Yu Hua, immediately revealed a smug smile. The other vice chief of the Sky Shadow Estate, Yu Miao, praised. This painting was originally prepared by our Moon Shadow Estate for the geniuses of the four great sacred lands. Who would have thought that it would be used on Night Sorrow in advance? Even if he loses, he should be proud of it. Indeed. Who would have thought that this Night Sorrow could actually force Fairy Yu Yan into such a state in such a short period of time? Yu Hua nodded, acknowledging Night Sorrow's strength. As for the Divine World Estate, they were all worried. At this moment, Night Sorrow stood motionless on the spot, looking like a puppet that had lost control. As for Fairy Yu Yan, she had already used a pair of blades to prepare a very powerful attack. Boom! By the time Fairy Yu Yan unleashed this move, Yi Shang was already unable to react. His body was directly bombarded. After being hit by this move, Night Sorrow was sent flying uncontrollably like a leaf being swept away by a gust of wind. Night Sorrow. Seeing that Night Sorrow was sent flying, concubine Wu Lingfei immediately exclaimed. The other people in the Divine World Estate also became nervous. But soon, Night Sorrow slowly stood up. Because his body was tough enough, he wasn't seriously injured. After being sent flying, Night Sorrow closed his eyes and thought to himself, although I can't perceive her attack clearly, it's very likely that she launched it from the front. She knows that my perception is blocked, so there's no need to be sloppy. She must have attacked from the closest distance. Night Sorrow, whose eyes were closed, could actually summon the chaotic heavenly crystal beast to fight with him at this moment. However, the other party didn't summon her battle pet, and he didn't intend to either, so he gave up on this idea. He closed his eyes and continued to wait for the other party's attack to arrive. Boom! As expected. A moment later, Fairy Yuan once again sent Night Sorrow flying. This time, Night Sorrow's injuries were obviously more serious. Seeing this, the people in the Divine World Estate already wanted to help. However, Night Sorrow recovered for a moment and stood up again. You actually have such a tough body that you can withstand 2 of my moves in a row. But this is as far as you can go. Seeing that Night Sorrow stood up again, a cold smile appeared on Fairy Yuan's face. She roared coldly, "Die! Great Moonlight!" Fairy Yuan came from the Moon Shadow Estate, and the Moon Shadow Estate was named after the moon. Their ultimate skills were all related to the moon. After she finished roaring, a cold ray of moonlight shot out from between her eyebrows. The moonlight didn't look very thick, but the terrifying energy waves made everyone in the Divine World Estate tense up. If it weren't for Xiao Tianxian and the 10,000 Sword sect stopping her, concubine Wu Lingfei would have definitely stepped in to help. Clan M. Chapter 3006. Night Sorrow will definitely die. Our Moon Shadow Estate secret treasure, the fire and smoke diagram, can block all cultivator senses. He won't be able to tell that Yu Yan has already used her ultimate killing move. Seeing Fairy Yu Yan use her strongest move, Supreme Yu Ling, who was watching from the outside, instantly heaved a sigh of relief. Although the battle between Night Sorrow and Fairy Yu Yan was short, she could already tell that Night Sorrow had already suppressed Fairy Yu Yan's strength. Hence, she was alarmed and frightened. At this moment, she relaxed. The other Supremes who had enmity with the godly realm instantly smiled with anticipation when they heard Supreme Yu Ling's words. All of them focused their gazes on the moonlight that Fairy Yu Yan shot out. As the saying goes, once, twice, but not thrice. You attacked 3 times in a row and didn't change your position. Aren't you underestimating me, Night Sorrow? At this moment, Night Sorrow didn't open his eyes. However, after he got up, he immediately activated the Treastrimsa Heaven's Battle Mystic technique and suddenly shot out the Thunder Reincarnation Spear in the direction he judged. This Thunder Reincarnation Spear was obviously different from the one he used when he was a middle-level dominator. It contained more Earth Supreme nomological laws. At the same time that he shot out this attack, Night Sorrow immediately roared the Gentle Dragon Roar. After the Thunder Reincarnation Spear was shot out, it immediately broke Fairy Yu Yan's strongest move. The Gentle Dragon Roar that followed directly injured Fairy Yu Yan's Divine Soul. After her Divine Soul was injured, Fairy Yu Yan lost control of the fire and smoke diagram in an instant, and Night Sorrow also broke free. After reopening his eyes, Night Sorrow wasn't willing to give Yu Yan another chance to use the fire and smoke diagram. In a flash, he shot out the Thunder Reincarnation Spear at her again. Night Sorrow could shoot out the Thunder Reincarnation Spear again in an instant, but Yu Yan didn't have the ability to use the Great Moonlight technique at all and didn't know how to block it. Hence, she summoned the Space Lock again to defend against this move. Boom! This time, Yi Shan's attack failed again, but he had succeeded in closing the distance between the two of them. He took the opportunity to execute the Divine Essence Trapping Formation, locking them in the same small space and engaging in close combat. Fairy Yuan, who was trapped in the Divine Essence Trapping Array, was not strong in close combat compared to opponents of the same level. Furthermore, her Divine Essence was injured. How could she be a match for Night Sorrow? She was quickly suppressed. Night Sorrow. Good job. Seeing that Night Sorrow had managed to suppress the #1 person of the Moon Shadow Estate, Fairy Yu Yan, despite being heavily injured, the 10,000 Sword sect could not help but roar in anger. Just now, when Yi Shang was being suppressed, he was like Wu Lingfei, suppressing his desire to attack. At this moment, the gloominess in his heart was completely dispelled. Xiao Tianxian, who was beside the 10,000 Sword sect, also breathed a sigh of relief. As for Wu Lingfei, she didn't dare to relax. She was worried that Fairy Yuan still had other tricks up her sleeve. And her worries quickly became reality. After being completely suppressed, Fairy Yuan roared unwillingly, "Moon Spirit Battle Pet, come out!" Howl! After Fairy Yuan finished her roar, a huge supreme battle pet immediately appeared in the enclosed space. After this battle pet appeared, it immediately used its huge body to directly open the enclosed space. Then, this moon spirit battle pet expanded to the size of a mountain in the void. With a ferocious roar, it threw a punch at Night Sorrow. You really have a lot of tricks up your sleeve. When the moon spirit battle pet threw a punch at Night Sorrow could tell that this moon spirit battle pet was an upper-level supreme. It was much stronger than the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Therefore, Night Sorrow did not summon the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately. Instead, he raised his hand and fired a shot, using his tiny body to withstand the blow from the sky. At the same time, he formed a seal with his left hand and threw a palm strike at Fairy Yuan, who was cooperating with the moon spirit battle pet. Boom. Boom. After 2 consecutive loud bangs, Fairy Yuan was directly sent flying by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow and the moon spirit battle pet, on the other hand, were both knocked back a certain distance by the recoil. This Night Sorrow's senses were blinded by the fire and smoke picture, but he still managed to persevere. At this moment, he defeated the upper-level moon spirit battle pet. This is simply unbelievable. Seeing that Night Sorrow was actually so dauntless, Moon Shadow's deputy chief, Moon Hua, said in disbelief. On the side, Yu Yan said, "Everyone, get ready to attack. We can't just watch Fairy Yuan be defeated, or even killed." Yes. Everyone, get ready to attack. Moon Hua also gave the order. Hearing this, everyone from the Moon Shadow Estate condensed their divine domains, ready to attack at any time. Everyone, get ready to attack. Those from the Moon Shadow Estate can't hold back anymore. Seeing that everyone from the Moon Shadow Estate had condensed their divine domains, Xiao Tianxian immediately instructed. However, just when both sides were eager to give it a try, Fairy Yuan said coldly, "Don't panic. Night Sorrow is no match for me and the Moon Spirit Battle Pet." With that said, Fairy Yuan flew to the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's head, cut her fingertip with a short sword, and dripped her blood on the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn. After absorbing a few drops of blood, the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn gradually turned blood red. After the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn turned blood red, it roared crazily and then went berserk. Its strength was improved by another half a level, reaching the peak of the celestial state. I don't believe that you can withstand the attack of a peak celestial state. After the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's strength was improved, Fairy Yuan looked at Night Sorrow with cold eyes. At this moment, she was standing on the head of the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, relying solely on the Moon Spirit Battle Pet to attack Night Sorrow. She was no longer attacking. Whether or not I can withstand it, we'll know after we try. Facing Fairy Yuan, who was controlling the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, Night Sorrow didn't panic at all. The battle pet in front of him was strong, but he wasn't completely powerless. What Night Sorrow was afraid of was the fire and smoke diagram, but it was obvious that Fairy Yuan couldn't use it for the time being. Otherwise, she would have used it long ago. Moon Spirit Battle Pet. Tear him apart. Fairy Yuan ordered coldly after Night Sorrow spoke. Roar. Upon receiving the order, the Moon Spirit Battle Pet immediately attacked Night Sorrow ferociously. Hundun, come out and fight with me. In the face of a peak celestial state Moon Spirit Battle Pet, Night Sorrow didn't dare to be careless. He immediately summoned the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. At this moment, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was already an intermediate celestial state, but it was definitely weaker than Yu Ling's battle pet. We don't seem to be its match. This guy is probably comparable to the holy spirits on the 32nd level. After being summoned, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast said in horror. It can't maintain this kind of combat power forever. As long as we wear it out in this state, we will definitely win. Night Sorrow said fearlessly. Then, holding the golden heavenly halberd, he leaped onto the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's head. Clan M. Chapter 3007. Although the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was not as strong as the Moon Spirit Battle Pet in front of him, its size was not inferior at all. Standing on this behemoth, Night Sorrow and Fairy Yuan instantly reached the same height. The difference was that he was the main force of the battle at this moment, while Fairy Yuan was completely relying on the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. What a good battle! The people of the Divine Realm and Moon Shadow territories, as well as the Celestials watching from the outside world, were all watching the battle nervously. At this moment, Feng Wuji suddenly appeared on the deck and said with interest, "Sir, who do you think will win?" After Feng Wuji appeared, Dao Wui asked carefully. He gradually felt that he could not see through Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow is stronger than Fairy Yu Yan, but the Moon Spirit Battle Pet is stronger than Night Sorrow's Battle Pet. It's hard to say who will win this battle. Feng Wuji said and continued, "If you want to know the result, just continue watching." Yes. Dao Wui nodded and continued to watch. At the same time as Dao Wui nodded, Night Sorrow was already standing on the head of the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and suddenly shot out a reincarnation spear art. This spear went straight for Fairy Yu Yan's divine ocean. Moon Spirit Battle Pet. Seeing that Night Sorrow's attack was going straight for her divine ocean, Fairy Yu Yan did not attack herself. Instead, she ordered the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. Roar! The Moon Spirit Battle Pet, which received the order, immediately roared and stretched out a palm, slapping towards Night Sorrow and his golden heavenly halberd. Even though Night Sorrow blasted out a huge light with his golden heavenly halberd, it was still very small compared to the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. However, in the face of the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's huge palm, Night Sorrow did not panic. He did not believe that the other party's palm could be harder than his golden heavenly halberd. He roared, "If you like to fight head-on, then come. I'll help you." Although the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was obviously not as strong as the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, its ferocity was also stimulated after the battle began. After sending a voice transmission to Night Sorrow, he waved his tentacles and attacked Fairy Yu Yan. When Night Sorrow and the Moon Spirit Battle Pet clashed, its tentacles continuously whipped the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's head. However, the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn emitted a faint glow. The glow seemed weak, but it blocked all the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's attacks. Fairy Yu Yan did not move at all. Night Sorrow, who had suffered a small loss when fighting against the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, but his golden heavenly halberd was not damaged, was certain that he could not move at all when Fairy Yu Yan was controlling the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. Boom! While Night Sorrow was pondering, Moon Spirit's attack landed on the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's tentacle. It staggered from the impact. However, the Moon Spirit Battle Pet didn't stop after its successful attack. It seized the opportunity to grab one of the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's tentacles and threw it into the void. Then, it used the horn on its head to shoot out a ray of terrifying moonlight. Night Sorrow, save me. This guy's attack is too powerful. I'm no match for it. Seeing the terrifying moonlight shooting toward it, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately roared for help. "Don't worry, I'm here." At this moment, Night Sorrow suddenly roared. After thinking for a moment, he felt that there was only one way to save the chaotic heavenly crystal beast at this moment, and that was to attack the way to rescue the Zhao. Without hesitation, he once again used the golden heavenly halberd to shoot out the thunder reincarnation spear at Fairy Yu Yan, who was above the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's head. It also broke the light from the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn. Moon Spirit Battle Pet, save me! Fairy Yu Yan immediately shouted anxiously when Night Sorrow broke the protective light from the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn. The Moon Spirit Battle Pet, which was originally attacking the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, immediately controlled the light it shot out and gave up on attacking the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Instead, it shot at Night Sorrow. After this ray of light shot out, it immediately sent Night Sorrow flying. What a powerful attack! However, we've already found your weakness. Fairy Yuan, wait for your death. Night Sorrow was attacked by the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, but he was not seriously injured. After catching his breath, he sent a voice transmission to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Fairy Yu Yan can't move at all at this moment. She's a complete burden. We're basically 2 against 1. This Moon Spirit Battle Pet can't handle it. But I really can't withstand its attack. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast said helplessly. Although it did not retreat this time, it could not withstand the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's attack at all. Then leave it to me. You deal with the immobile Fairy Yu Yan. After saying that, Night Sorrow took out a divine evasion talisman from his spatial dermic artifact to increase his speed. Then he took out a few offensive divine talismans. They blasted towards Fairy Yu Yan from all directions. Got it. Seeing Night Sorrow throw out divine talismans consecutively, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's eyes lit up. It controlled its many tentacles to attack Fairy Yu Yan. It did not use its full strength in its attack. It was completely harassing and did not fight head-on with the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. After Night Sorrow and the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast cooperated to attack, Fairy Yuan's face immediately showed signs of difficulty. Although the Moon Spirit Battle Pet was telepathically connected to her, it was still badly harassed. Night Sorrow's attacks also began to become both real and illusory, making it difficult for them to figure out what was real and what was not. After 100 breaths of time, Fairy Yuan suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. The Moon Spirit Battle Pet's aura also dropped to the upper supreme level again. Its strength has dropped. I might be able to fight it now. Seeing that the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's aura had dropped to the upper supreme level and was very chaotic, the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast immediately shouted. The chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast immediately let out a loud roar. Although it was an intermediate supremacy, it had absorbed a large amount of earthly supremacy's laws of nature and essence, so its battle prowess was almost equivalent to an upper supremacy's. After roaring, it completely exploded and attacked the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. At this moment, Night Sorrow did not deal with the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. Instead, he attacked Fairy Yuan, who could already move. After fighting for a while, Fairy Yuan said unwillingly, "I didn't expect you to have grown to this extent. However, your personal victory does not represent the territory's victory. Warriors of the Moon Shadow Estate, kill him." Kill. Moonfire and the other 2 deputy chiefs of the Moon Shadow Estate immediately led their men and charged forward. They wanted to help Fairy Yuan besiege Night Sorrow. At this moment, the myriad sword sect Wu Lingfei, and the others who could no longer hold back, also rushed into the void one after another. Today the Divine Realm will win. And you will be the first to fall. Night Sorrow looked back at the people of the Divine Realm and roared confidently. Then, he used the Void Transition technique again and waved the golden heavenly halberd to pursue Fairy Yuan. On the other side, the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast and the Moon Spirit Battle Pet were fighting crazily. Let's go help the fairy. Seeing that Fairy Yuan was being chased by Night Sorrow in a sorry state, the 2 deputy chiefs of the Moon Shadow Estate all rushed over to help. You came at the right time. Fighting 1 against 3, Night Sorrow did not panic. Instead, he began to explode completely. Chapter 3008. 1 against 3, and you still dare to boast so shamelessly. You are really courting death. Night Sorrow faced Fairy Yuan and the 2 deputy leaders of the Moon Shadow Estate, Yu Miao and Yu Hua, alone. He was still as domineering as ever. Yu Miao immediately shouted angrily and shot a dazzling arrow at Night Sorrow. This arrow carried with it a clear and cold moonlight, as well as a chilling intent. At the same time, Yu Hua also cooperated with Yu Miao and launched a sneak attack on Night Sorrow from the side. Fairy Yuan, who had been slightly injured, took the opportunity to swallow 3 crystal-clear elixirs that contained dense mist. You are the one courting death. I, Night Sorrow, am not someone you can stop. At this moment, Night Sorrow formed a seal with his left hand and caught the arrow shot by Yu Hua. Then, he threw it at Yu Hua who was attacking him. After using the arrow to neutralize Yu Miao's attack, Night Sorrow held the golden heavenly halberd and shot the forbidden spear at Yu Miao. This spear contained more earthly sovereign essence than before. In comparison, the forbidden attribute was not as outstanding. Not good. Yu Miao, quickly crush the identity token. He is not someone you can fight against. Fairy Yuan, who had just swallowed the elixir, saw Night Sorrow attacking Yu Miao and immediately shouted. As the proud daughter of the Moon Shadow Estate, she was fully equipped with the best equipment. However, she was no match for Night Sorrow in a head-on battle, let alone Yu Miao. What? Yu Miao was shocked when he heard Fairy Yuan's reminder. However, it was too late for him to take the identity token. I will kill you. After Yu Hua roared, Night Sorrow directly pierced through the void with his spear. This spear pierced through Yu Miao's elixir field and grabbed his spirit sea. Let him go. Fairy Yuan suddenly shouted when Night Sorrow was about to crush Yu Miao's spirit. Let him go and enslave him? Night Sorrow looked at Fairy Yuan and said coldly. This Fairy Yuan was definitely not a kind person. Hence, he was not prepared to show mercy. If you let him go, I will give you the fire beacon smoke diagram. Fairy Yuan hesitated for a moment before speaking. After saying that, She was afraid that Night Sorrow didn't understand, so she explained, "The fire beacon smoke diagram is the picture scroll that is blocking your perception." "Fairy, you can't. No matter what, we can't give the fire beacon smoke map to him." Hearing Fairy Yuan's words, Yu Miao immediately roared. "Yes, Fairy, the fire and beacon smoke diagram is a secret treasure bestowed by the higher-ups. You absolutely cannot give it away." The other deputy chief of the Moon Shadow Estate, Yu Hua, also advised. "Shut up." Fairy Yuan scolded the two and continued to look at Night Sorrow. "How about it? Do you dare to trade?" "Yes. Swear an oath to the heavens." Night Sorrow thought for a while and said indifferently. He guessed that Fairy Yuan was plotting something, but he was not afraid at all. "Good. Yu Yan, swear." After Yu Yan swore, he immediately took out the fire beacon smoke diagram and threw it at Night Sorrow. "Go back." After receiving the fire beacon smoke diagram, Night Sorrow directly used the power of merit to seal it and threw it into the grotto heaven. He did not even look at it. Then, he once again attacked Yu Hua with his spear. "Quick! Use the 9 moons chain formation." At this moment, Fairy Yuan suddenly roared. "Okay. Yes." When Yu Miao and Yu Hua heard this, they immediately cooperated with Fairy Yuan and attacked Night Sorrow. The three of them each released 2 clones and joined forces to neutralize Night Sorrow's attack. Although the fire beacon smoke diagram is incomparably precious, if we don't exchange it for you, we won't be able to use the 9 moons chain formation. If that happens, our Moon Shadow Estate will lose. This is unacceptable. I'm doing this to cut my losses. After helping Yu Miao block Night Sorrow's attack, Fairy Yuan mocked Night Sorrow and said, "Today, you coveted the fire and beacon smoke diagram. You can obtain a secret treasure, but you will ruin the victory in your hands. Let's fight again." She's a woman who is decisive. But you overestimated your own strength. Soon, you will understand that you went for wool and came home shorn. After saying this, Night Sorrow activated the sea serpent's eye and waved the golden heavenly halberd in his hand again. At this moment, Myriad Sword Sect, Wu Ling Fei, and the rest were fighting against 40 people. Although there were no top experts among the 40 people, they were still under a lot of pressure. Hence, he did not want to delay any longer. 9 moons chain formation. New moon. At this moment, Fairy Yuan did not waste any more time. She shouted loudly and cooperated with Yu Miao and Yu Hua to attack Night Sorrow with a unique skill. Their cooperation was very similar to the joint attack formation of the Realm of Gods. However, there were only 3 real bodies and the other 6 were clones. Hence, 3 of the attacks were very powerful, but the other 6 attacks were much weaker in comparison. Night Sorrow, who had activated the Sea Serpent's Eye, observed for a while and discovered this problem. He used the Void Transition technique to continuously dodge the real body's attacks and break the 6 clones' attacks one by one, successfully breaking their attack. After that, Night Sorrow attacked Yu Miao again. The strange thing was that the current Yu Miao seemed as if her Dantian was not injured and was very fierce in battle. Moreover, Yu Yan and Yu Hua had become one with him. The 3 people and 6 clones advanced and retreated in unison. It was very difficult for Night Sorrow to break them one by one. When he attacked Yu Miao, Yu Yan and Yu Hua would immediately cooperate and attack him. Moreover, their attacks were obviously enhanced by the formation, increasing their combat strength by a lot. Her Dantian is broken and she can still fight in her peak state. What kind of secret technique is she using? Night Sorrow thought curiously while fighting with them. However, just as this thought flashed through his mind, he threw it to the back of his mind and thought about how to break the formation. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow immediately used the Soft Dragon Roar and launched a soul attack on the 3 of them. However, this move did not have a very obvious effect. It's not that easy to break through our defense. Night Sorrow's continuous attacks did not yield any results, so Fairy Yuan immediately ridiculed him. Then she continued, 9 moons chain formation, full moon. In an instant, above the 3 people and 6 clones, they were all enveloped by a pillar of light that reached the sky. Then, these rays of light all fused together, forming an incomparably huge full moon in the void. After this full moon appeared, it immediately shot out rays of cold moonlight at Night Sorrow. We can't continue this stalemate. At this moment, Knight Sorrow used his soul power to investigate the situation of the others. Although Wu Lingfei and the others had the advantage in terms of individual strength, they were helpless because there were too many of them. They had already been suppressed by the other party and were retreating together. The anxious Knight Sorrow faced the endless moonlight and directly threw out the golden heavenly halberd. Soon, the golden heavenly halberd turned into a line and shot towards the full moon in the void. Genius remembered this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3009. After the golden heavenly halberd was thrown out, it immediately traversed the void and hit the full moon. Boom! After the full moon was hit by the golden heavenly halberd, it immediately shattered into 9 pieces. The 9 light pillars returned to the bodies of the 3 people and 6 shadows. You guys are all bark and no bite. After retrieving the golden heavenly halberd, even Knight Sorrow felt a little surprised that the other party's move was so easily broken. Not good. Although I used a secret technique, Yu Miao can't hold on anymore. The full moon was broken. Fairy Yu Yan's expression immediately changed. Yu Miao used a secret technique to forcefully recover his dantian in a short period of time, but that was a heaven-defying action after all and could not last long. Fairy, what should we do then? When Yu Hua heard this, he immediately looked at Yu Miao worriedly and realized that he could not hold on anymore. But even standing was difficult. Meet up with the others and use the advantage of numbers. In terms of individual combat power, Knight Sorrow should not be inferior to those geniuses of the 4 great sacred lands. We can only rely on our collective strength to win. Fairy Yu Yan said helplessly. At this point in the battle, she no longer had the courage to face Knight Sorrow alone. Those words of wanting to take Knight Sorrow as a slave had also become a contemptible joke. After sending a voice transmission to Yu Hua, Fairy Yu Yan sent a voice transmission to Yu Miao. I understand that you have tried your best. Enter my space grotto heaven. With me here, I will protect you. In fact, Yu Miao could use the identity token, but he felt that it was useful to stay. Fairy, I am useless. At this moment, Yu Miao was completely defeated. Although he was unwilling, he could no longer gather divine essence power. Let's go and meet up with the others. Fairy Yu Yan kept Yu Miao in her space grotto heaven and immediately wanted to escape to meet up with the others from Sky Shadow Estate. However, how could Knight Sorrow let them do as they wished so easily? He immediately used his movement technique and chased after them. Soon, he blocked Fairy Yu Yan and Yu Miao. Seeing that she could not break through Knight Sorrow's blockade, Fairy Yu Yan's face immediately revealed a trace of despair. She had never thought that the unremarkable Knight Sorrow back then could raise his strength so much in the battle for Providence. Looks like the Moon Shadow Estate is doomed and will soon be eliminated. Seeing this, Feng Wuji, who was watching from the outside, said teasingly, Master Wuji, the duel is not over yet. Our Moon Shadow Estate still has a chance. The moment she heard those words, Supreme Yu Ling replied indignantly, Oh, what other special methods does your Moon Shadow Estate have? Feng Wuji asked coldly. Yu Yan is the holy maiden of my Moon Shadow Estate. Supreme Yu Ling said slowly. Feng Wuji's brows raised when he heard this and he said, So that's how it is. But isn't your Moon Shadow Estate paying a huge price for rashly utilizing that move? For victory. In order to stop the Heavenly Realm's territory. I believe that Yu Yan and the others would make the same choice. Other than that, our Moon Shadow Estate has no other means to fight against the God Realm's territories. The Firmament's territory has managed to hold on for so long without losing a single person. They're no longer the same fish on the chopping block as before. Supreme Yu Ling's tone was icy cold as she looked at the people of the Moon Shadow region with a fervent gaze. Then under their watchful eyes, Knight Sorrow injured Fairy Yu Yan once again, and Yu Hua's arm was torn off. The 2 people who were intercepted were in a pitiful state. Fairy, we're really no match for him. Why don't we use that move? After being sent flying consecutively, Yu Hua had already lost the confidence to fight against Knight Sorrow. He suddenly sent a voice transmission to Fairy Yu Miao. No, I'd rather give up on the battle for Providence than do that. When Fairy Yu Miao heard that, her eyes were instantly shrouded in mist. We can't give up. No matter who we lose to, we can't lose to the God Realm's territories. Yu Hua said agitatedly, and then shouted loudly, Everyone of the Moon Shadow Estate, listen to my command. Sacrifice. In order to win, sacrifice yourself. After shouting, seeing that everyone had reacted, Yuhua shouted again. At this moment, almost everyone in the Moon Shadow Estate looked at Fairy Yu Miao, wanting to know what she meant. Fairy, what are you hesitating for? If you hesitate any longer, we'll be eliminated. Nod your head. Yuhua also locked his gaze on Fairy Yu Yan's face. Sacrifice? After hearing Yuhua shout and seeing everyone's reaction, Night Sorrow immediately guessed what was going on. Instinctively, he waved his golden heavenly halberd and stabbed it toward Fairy Yu Yan. At this moment, Fairy Yu Yan's face was filled with sorrow, and she was completely useless. What are you waiting for? Sacrifice yourself. This time, Yuhua shouted and directly sacrificed himself, turning into a ray of moonlight and entering Fairy Yu Yan's body. For Fairy Yu, for victory, sacrifice yourself. At this moment, the others in the Moon Shadow Estate also began to sacrifice themselves. Those more than 40 Dominator Realm cultivators all sacrificed themselves tragically to help Fairy Yu Yan. If I were you, I'd crush my identity tag. Yu Yan, who had absorbed more than 40 rays of energy, stood on the spot, her eyes completely cold. Night Sorrow saw this and sneered. When there's a battle, there will be sacrifices. They used their own deaths in exchange for the victory of the Moon Shadow Estate. There's nothing bad about that. Fairy Yu Yan, who had absorbed a large amount of energy, had already reached the peak combat strength of a moon spirit battle pet. Her tone was cold with a hint of madness. An icy divine domain bloomed around her, and then she said, "Let me introduce you again. Moon Shadow Estate's holy maiden, Yu Yan." After saying this, she looked up to the sky and howled. Moon Spirit Battle Pet, return to your position. Awoo! The summoned Moon Spirit Battle Pet, which was already in a white-hot battle with the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, immediately roared, broke away from the battle, and flew to Yu Yan's side. Looks like we're going to have a tough battle. Looking at Yu Yan, whose aura had already reached the peak of the supreme stage, Night Sorrow's brows revealed a trace of seriousness. It's good to have a tough battle. It just so happens that I haven't exercised my muscles and bones just now. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Myriad Sword Sect said carelessly. Although he said that he who was holding the heaven-slaying sword was not careless at all and was vigilant and on guard. We can finally stand side by side again. A cold smile appeared on Wu Lingfei's face. As for the others in the heavenly realm, they all understood that the Holy Maiden had absorbed the energy of dozens of dominators and had become incomparably powerful. She was very difficult to deal with and needed everyone to attack together. You can all die side by side. After Wu Lingfei finished speaking, the Holy Maiden smiled contemptuously and roared, "The people of the Moon Shadow Estate will not die in vain. All of you must die with them." You want us to die with them? That depends on whether you have the ability to do so. Night Sorrow snorted and continued, "Everyone, follow me and kill her." Clan. Chapter 30:10. You want to kill me? Haha, you're overestimating yourself. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the Holy Maiden of the Moon Evolution once again smiled disdainfully. Then, a crescent-shaped scepter appeared in her hand. She held the scepter in her hand and struck it at each of the people in the divine realm. These attacks looked very simple, but their power was frighteningly great. Night Sorrow observed with the sea serpent's eye and warned, "Be careful, everyone. You can't take this attack head-on." "Don't worry, we won't be that careless." Murong Zhenlu glanced at Night Sorrow and used his movement technique to dodge the Moonflow Saintess attack. However, he didn't expect that this attack could track him. No matter how he tried to dodge, he couldn't shake it off. Break! Everyone in the God Realm's territory, including the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, was completely suppressed by this attack. Only Night Sorrow shouted and used his golden heavenly halberd to break the Moonflow Saintess attack. Then, he immediately went to help the others break through this attack. In the end, they managed to block this attack without any mishap. A casual strike from this Saintess and you're already like this. Now, I'll use my ultimate skill. Let's see how you guys block it. The Holy Maiden of the Moon Evolution Holy Maiden saw the reaction of the people of the heavenly realm and laughed wildly. She formed a seal with both hands and threw out the scepter that was floating in front of her. She didn't use this move on Yi Shang, but on Yuan Fengxue, who was slightly weaker. Get into formation. Everyone, let's resist this attack together. Xiao Tianxian cautiously shouted. Immediately, apart from Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, the other 9 people in the God Realm's territory immediately executed a joint attack. He used this attack to counter the Holy Maiden's attack. However, although the 9 of them were able to fight to a draw against the 40-plus sovereigns of the Moon Shadow Estate, they were still able to fight to a standstill. However, the Lunar Evolution Saintess had completely fused with the energy of those sovereigns. Her strength had risen to a terrifying level. Bang! The 9 people who had formed the formation were all sent flying. None of them were lightly injured. Hundun, let's hold her back and let the others recover. Night Sorrow probed with his spiritual energy and confirmed that although Wu Lingfei and the others were injured, their lives were not in danger. As long as he swallowed some medicinal pills, he would recover very quickly. He immediately joined forces with the chaotic heavenly crystal beast to fight the Lunar Evolution Holy Maiden and the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. However, after accepting the sacrifice, the Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution seemed to be invincible. Although he wasn't an earthly sovereign, his attacks were getting stronger and stronger, to the point that he was unrivaled. Very quickly, Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast were suppressed. Not long after, the 2 of them suffered heavy injuries. You will witness the death of your companion with your own eyes. Just like me. After sending Yi Shang flying again, the holy daughter of the Moon Evolution sect coldly snorted and once again attacked the other people from the God Realm. No! The Moonflow Saintess was about to attack Wu Lingfei and the others. Night Sorrow immediately used the 33 Heavens secret combat technique as a foundation, burning his blood essence. He raised his speed to the fastest and used the golden heavenly halberd to block the opponent's attack. Your speed is not bad. But how much blood essence do you have? The Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution smiled cruelly when she saw that Night Sorrow was burning his blood essence. The fact that she had accepted everyone's sacrifice had driven her into a state of complete insanity. She sneered and struck out again. It's enough to stop you. Facing this attack, Night Sorrow stood up again to block the attack. At the same time, everyone in the celestial realm burned their bloodline power, ready to fight to the death. But the Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution's strength was so terrifying that it was difficult to resist. Night Sorrow could barely resist it. Although the others burned their bloodline power, they couldn't resist at all. Then, Night Sorrow stood in front of everyone and continuously blocked the Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution's attacks. No! This can't go on. Everyone, think about it, what should we do? Just one more step, and our celestial realm will be able to make history. If we lose like this, it's really not acceptable. Wan Jianzong, who had transformed into a giant sword, shouted unwillingly. Xiao Tianxian and Wu Lingfei both looked at Night Sorrow, their eyes filled with unwillingness. Hold on. If we can't think of a solution, then we'll try our best to hold on. Although she's strong now, she can't maintain this state forever. Yi Shan roared and continued to stand in front of everyone, blocking the attacks of the Moon Evolution Saintess. He fell down again and again, but he stood up again every time. Seeing Night Sorrow's performance, the Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution sneered. My power will dissipate, but it'll last longer than you think. Hee hee. The Holy Maiden of Moon Shadow Territory absorbs the power of the Moon God from the sacrifice of our people, and she'll last for a month. There's no suspense in this battle. Seeing this, Supreme Yu Ling's brows relaxed completely, as if the sacrifice had nothing to do with her. Congratulations Supreme Yu Ling, congratulations to the Moon Shadow Territory for advancing to the top 8. This Divine World territory is really hard to deal with. Besides the 4 sacred grounds, only the Moon Shadow Territory can suppress it. Dao Wui said enviously. Congratulations too. Our Moon Shadow Territory has indirectly taken revenge for your Dao World territory. Supreme Yu Ling said with a smile, and then she watched the battle again. At that moment, Night Sorrow was still trying his best to block the Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution's attacks. He didn't know that the Holy Maiden of Moon God's power could last for a month. The Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution enjoyed the pleasure of this abuse, so she kept attacking Night Sorrow. What should we do? What should we do? Wan Jianzong asked when he saw the Holy Maiden attacking Night Sorrow continuously. Does our divine world territory have a sacrificial technique? Why don't we just sacrifice it to Brother Yi? Let Brother Yi kill him. As far as I know, our divine world territory doesn't have such a secret technique. Xiao Tianxian shook his head and said helplessly. Your divine world territory doesn't have it, but I have a similar secret technique here. At that moment, Evil Sword Earthly Supremacy, who had been silent, suddenly sent a voice transmission to Wan Jianzong. Evil Sword. What do we need to do? Wan Jianzong asked excitedly. It's very simple. I just need to teach you the secret technique's chant. However, this sacrificial technique won't kill you directly like the people of the Moon Shadow territory. However, you won't be able to use your divine essence force and spiritual energy for 30,000 years. Are you willing to do that? Yes, of course. Wait for me to ask the others. Wan Jianzong said. Then, he sent a voice transmission to everyone, including Night Sorrow, to tell them what Evil Sword Earthly Supremacy had said. Can we trust his words? What if our powers are sacrificed to him? Xiao Tianxian asked doubtfully after Wan Jianzong finished speaking. The others also voiced their concerns. If what Evil Sword Earthly Supremacy had said was true, they were willing to sacrifice 30,000 years of divine essence force and spiritual energy. Clan M. Chapter 30:11. It shouldn't be a problem. He needs to rely on Brother Yi to rebuild his body. There's no need for him to harm us at this time. Thousand Sword Sect said. Moreover, Evil Sword has entered Brother Ye's space grotto heaven. Even if he has any tricks up his sleeve, they won't be of any use. Therefore, there's no need for him to harm us. That seems to make sense. Muronggue Lu nodded. Good. Then don't hesitate anymore. Let's do it now. With every second we delay, Yi Sorrow will be in more danger. Xiao Tianxian said seriously. Then, he started to learn Evil Sword Sect's secret skill with the others. This secret skill was not difficult to master. In about 10 breaths of time, everyone had mastered it. At this time, Thousand Sword Sect was once again defeated by Night Sorrow. Roar! He shouted. Brother Yi, absorb our strength. Night Sorrow. You have to bring our strength to defeat the Moon Shadow Estate and enter the top 8. Create history for the realm of gods. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow with a complicated expression. To any cultivator, not being able to use their divine origin force and divine soul for 30,000 years was an unbearable torture. However, she did not hesitate or back down. Yes. Night Sorrow, go and create history. Yuan Fengshue's eyes were filled with tears. She was very excited. However, giving up 30,000 years was not enough to make her afraid. Stop talking. Hurry up and start. If you have anything to say it after we win. At this time, Xiao Tianxian interrupted everyone who was about to speak. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, Don't hesitate. Start. Okay. I will use the power of the estate to enter the top 8. I will not disappoint everyone. Otherwise, my divine soul will be destroyed. Night Sorrow, who had distanced himself from the Moon Shadow Saintess, knew the price that everyone would have to pay. However, under such circumstances, he did not have time to be pretentious. He roared and raised his arm to accept everyone's sacrifice. In an instant, the power that everyone in the realm of gods had sacrificed turned into light and entered his body. After absorbing the power, Night Sorrow roared to the sky and kept everyone in his space grotto heaven. He then looked at the Moon Shadow Saintess and said, Let's fight again. I didn't expect the realm of gods to have a sacrifice. The way the Holy Maiden looked at Yishang was very different now. She was originally arrogant, but now there was a trace of fear in her eyes. After all, under normal circumstances, she was no match for Yishan. There are many things that you can't imagine. But I'm Smizes. Dang. Night Sorrow roared and once again used the 33 Heavens Battle Mystic technique, pushing his strength to the peak. After absorbing so much energy, even though his body was very strong, he still felt a lot of pressure. Without the slightest hesitation, he immediately struck out. His. This spear was something that Yishang had recently comprehended, and it relied on the energy of an Earth Sovereign. Supreme Reincarnation Spear? It doesn't seem like much. Facing Night Sorrow's Supreme Reincarnation Spear, the Moon Shadow Saintess once again unleashed a fierce power and attacked. Descent of the Moon Goddess. In an instant, the power around her gathered in the air and formed the shadow of the Moon Goddess. After the shadow took shape, it immediately charged at Yi Shan. Kill those who block my way. Kill those who block my way. Night Sorrow roared and pierced through the Moon Shadow Saintess's attack with his golden heavenly halberd. Not only did he pierce through the Moon Goddess's shadow, but he also pierced through Yu Yan's body. Yu Yan's face turned ashen the moment Night Sorrow pierced through his body. She hadn't expected that Yi Sorrow's strength would rise to such a level after absorbing the sacrificial power of 9 cultivators. She also did not expect to be defeated by him in one move. Moon Goddess Battle Pet. Take me and run. The moment her body was pierced, Yu Yan understood that she could not fight Night Sorrow anymore. She immediately gave an order to her Moon Spirit Battle Pet. She wanted to escape and then come back. She's a woman who knows when to yield. But what's the use of that? Night Sorrow's anger exploded at the thought of the 9 cultivators who had sacrificed themselves. He used the Void Transition technique to chase after the Moon Goddess Battle Pet the moment it escaped. Night Sorrow's strength was enough to fight against most of the top Supremes, so his speed was not slow either. Soon, he caught up with the Moon Goddess Battle Pet. Yu Yan saw that it was difficult for her to escape and immediately said charmingly, "If you leave the realm of the gods and let the Moon Shadow Estate pass, I can give myself to you. Also, the Moon Shadow Estate will confer you the title of Saint. You will be second only to the Saint." "I don't care." After Yu Yan spoke, Night Sorrow did not hesitate at all and attacked her with the Thunder Reincarnation Spear. As for the Supreme Reincarnation Spear, it consumed too much energy, so Night Sorrow did not dare to use it continuously. "Bastard! You're forcing me to die together with you." With no way to escape and Night Sorrow's stubbornness, Yu Yan roared with a gloomy face and ordered, "Moon Goddess Battle Pet, self-destruct. Help me kill Night Sorrow." Howl! The Moon Goddess Battle Pet roared and charged toward Night Sorrow. Yu Yan's eyes were completely filled with determination. Obviously, she was not only going to let the Moon Goddess Battle Pet self-destruct, but also prepared to do so herself. Chaos, run! The chaotic heavenly crystal beast had just caught up. Night Sorrow sensed its aura and immediately warned it. Hearing this, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was stunned for a moment, then its eyes lit up and it fled. As for Night Sorrow, he looked at Yu Yan without fear and said, "If you want to self-destruct, I, Night Sorrow, will never back down. Even if you can die together with me, my battle pet is still in the realm of the gods. It will be judged as the winner. As for you, it's impossible for you to scare me away. It's impossible for me to even take half a step back." After he finished speaking, Night Sorrow activated his god domain once more, and he even utilized the energy of virtue. He activated his defense to the strongest state. He also set up a divine essence trapping formation and a merit trapping formation around him. Faced with the threat of Yu Yan's self-destruction, he did not retreat at all. His determination to risk his life was no less than Yu Yan's. This choice seemed silly, but if he retreated, Yu Yan would definitely take the opportunity to escape. That way she, who had many tricks up her sleeve, might be able to turn things around. "So be it, I'm not afraid." Yu Yan, who was definitely inferior to Night Sorrow in terms of strength, was even more determined to self-destruct when he saw how determined Night Sorrow was. With a roar, he prepared to self-destruct with the Moon Goddess Battle Pet against Night Sorrow. "Holy Lady, you can start over if you lose. There's no need to pay with your life. Besides, even if you self-destruct, you can't stop the realm of the gods from winning. Forget it." At this moment, Supreme Yu Ling ignored the rules of the Battle of Providence and sent a voice transmission to Yu Yan. Genius remembered the address of this site in 1 second. Human Mobile Version Reading Website. Chapter 30:12. Supreme Yu Ling had once said that she could not communicate with everyone in the battle. That was just an excuse. As the host of this year's Battle for Providence, he could communicate with anyone. However, he would have to pay a huge price. Supreme Yu Ling did not know what the price was. However, He knew that if he let the daughter of Holy Lord Yu Yu die in the battle for Providence, he would not have a good ending. Therefore, at this critical moment, he did not hesitate to remind her. Supreme Yu Ling? Hearing Supreme Yu Ling's reminder, Yu Yan, who had already decided to die together with Night Sorrow, stopped. He immediately stopped. It's me. Saintess, don't give up 10,000 years of cultivation because of a momentary loss. There will be plenty of opportunities to make a comeback. Supreme Yu Ling tried to persuade him again before she continued. The sacred leader is already on his way. He will personally kill Yi Shang after the battle for the karmic luck is over. Saintess, you should crush your identity token. Hearing this, Yu Yan said hesitantly, Yu Ling War Pet, what choice do you think we should make? At this moment, Yu Ling said excitedly, Saintess, Holy Lord is already here. Please come out. Is Father here? Hearing the news of Yu Yu Earth Supreme's arrival, Yu Yan, who had a complicated expression, hesitated again. At this moment, Yu Yu Earth Supreme saw clearly what was going on. He immediately asked Yu Ling to send a voice transmission. Tell Yu Yan to give up and come out immediately. Don't make unnecessary sacrifices. Yu Yu Earth Supreme only had one daughter, and that was Yu Yan. Moreover, at his cultivation level, it was already impossible for him to have another child. How could he bear to see Yu Yan choose to self-destruct? Yes, Holy Lord. Supreme Yu Ling advised again when she heard this. She also expressed that this was Yu Yu Earth Supreme's order. All right, I'll go out. Yu Yan, who was continuously advised, gradually withdrew the hostility from the battle. He took out his identity token and wanted to crush it. You want to leave just because you want to? How can it be so easy? Gentle dragon roar. At this moment, Night Sorrow saw that Yu Yan wanted to escape and immediately roared at him before striking out with a supreme reincarnation spear. What happened? Yu Yan was instantly paralyzed by soft dragon Kree's roar. She wanted to crush her nameplate, but there was nothing she could do. They could only look on helplessly as the identity token stopped in his hand. After absorbing the power of the 9 divine souls from the divine world, Night Sorrow's strength had increased tremendously. Even his attacks on divine souls had improved tremendously. The moment Yu Yan was paralyzed, his supreme reincarnation spear directly shattered his dantian. After shattering Yu Yan's dantian, the moon spirit battle pet was the first to recover. It immediately pushed Yu Yan away and self-destructed at Night Sorrow. Boom! The moon spirit battle pet was at the upper celestial stage. When it self-destructed, it was still very powerful. Even if Night Sorrow absorbed the power of the 9 people, he would still be sent flying. Moon spirit battle pet. At this moment, tears immediately streamed down Yu Yan's face after he recovered. Seeing this, Exalt Yu Ling roared anxiously, Holy Maiden! The son of a wealthy family would never be able to sit still and do nothing. Don't hesitate any longer. Hurry up and crush the nameplate. This time, Yu Yan did not hesitate at all. He crushed the nameplate and completely gave up on the battle for Providence. The moment he was teleported out, Yu Yan collapsed weakly on the teleportation square. Exalt Yu Yu checked Yu Yan's injuries and heaved a sigh of relief. Yan-er. Although your dantian is shattered, you can recover quickly with a secret technique. As for today's grudge, I will avenge you. Father! Yu Yan cried uncontrollably as he was held in Exalt Yu Yu's arms. Boom! At this moment, an extremely terrifying thundercloud suddenly rose above the square where the battle for Providence was taking place. When the thundercloud appeared, Exalt Yu Ling's expression changed drastically. She shouted, Holy Lord, save me! This is the backlash from the battle for Providence. This is the price I have to pay for communicating with the Holy Maiden. Don't worry. I will protect you. Exalt Yu Yu touched Yu Yan's forehead gently and got up to help Exalt Yu Ling block the lightning. However, at the next moment, the dense lightning completely descended. Before anyone could react, it killed Exalt Yu Ling. Yu Ling! Exalt Yu Yu, who wanted to save Exalt Yu Ling, roared unwillingly. My condolences. No Exalt can withstand the backlash from the battle for Providence. Even earthly sovereigns might not be able to survive. At this moment, Feng Wuji slowly walked over and said to Exalt Yu Yu. Yu Ling is my right-hand man. I didn't expect him to die here. I really can't accept this. Facing Feng Wuji, who came from the four great sacred grounds, Yu Yu's tone was still very gentle even though he was in a bad mood. Exalt Yu Yu, I have a spiritual pill here that can heal Dan Tian injuries. Take it and treat Yu Yan. If you don't treat him immediately, it won't be easy for him to fully recover. Then Feng Wuji continued. Thank you, Exalt Yu Yu. After receiving the spiritual pill from Feng Wuji, Exalt Yu Yu thanked him and fed it to Yu Yan. The spiritual pill was swallowed in less than 20 breaths. Yu Yan's originally pale face recovered. She choked and said, Father, my Dantian has recovered. Moreover, my strength is stronger than before. Really? Then why don't you thank Exalt Yu Yu? Exalt Yu Yu immediately said when he heard Yu Yan's words. Yu Yan thanks Exalt Yu Yu. Yu Yan bowed to Feng Wuji and then looked at the screen of the battle for Providence. He found Night Sorrow's location and said coldly, One day, I will kill you with my own hands. Why do you need to wait for a day? When he comes out, I will help you control him. I will let you kill him with your own hands. Exalt Yu Yu immediately said coldly when he heard Yu Yan's words. At this moment, Feng Wuji reminded him, If you fight here, be careful of the backlash. It was not easy for you and me to cultivate to Exalt Yu Yu. Don't lose your life here. It's okay. It should be impossible to kill Exalt Yu Yu with the Calamity Cloud just now. Exalt Yu Yu said and looked at Night Sorrow. This Night Sorrow must die. The realm of the gods cannot have another supreme longevity. From the looks of it, if he is allowed to continue growing, not to mention becoming an immortal supreme, it is entirely possible for him to surpass it. Feng Wuji looked at Night Sorrow and smiled. At this moment, Dao Wui suddenly said, Congratulations, Exalt Yu Yu. The Jiuxian territory has just entered the top 8. Top 8? What's there to congratulate? Feng Wuji asked coldly when he heard this. Clan M. Chapter 30:13. Wuji Earthly Supremacy. If it were any other time, there would be nothing to congratulate the Jiuxian estate for entering the top 8. Dao Wui said quickly. He then took a deep breath and continued, But it's different this time. After all, the Tian Shao estate and the Immortal estate have fought each other. Both sides have suffered great losses. No matter which side they appear, they will not be a threat to the Jiuxian estate. This means that the Jiuxian estate will at least be able to get into the top 2. The top 3 is not a problem. But the top 2 might not be. Feng Wuji said coldly. Why is that? Dao Wui asked in confusion. The top 8 of the Battle of Providence depends on the strength of the strongest person in each estate. The Jiuxian estate has a lot of people left. But they might not be able to get into the top 2. In my opinion, the realm of gods might be able to pull off an upset. What? My lord, are you saying that you think Night Sorrow from the realm of gods will win? Dao Wui asked in disbelief. This Night Sorrow's strength should be on par with the top geniuses of the 4 territories. When the battle royale starts, it won't be strange for him to get any results. Feng Wuji said. It's possible. To be honest, I have prepared some tricks for my daughter. They are all for the top 4. But they still lost to this Night Sorrow. The realm of gods has a real genius. Yu Yu Earthly Supremacy also praised Feng Wuji. But then, he said coldly, But geniuses who are too powerful will not live for long. Supreme Longevity was so arrogant back then, but he still died in our hands. In the end, it was all because of us. Supreme Longevity might not be dead. All the territories must be on guard against his return. Upon hearing Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign's words, Feng Wuji immediately reminded her. How so? Yu Yu Earthly Supremacy was puzzled by Feng Wuji's certainty. Although everyone suspected that Supreme Longevity was not completely dead, they were only guesses. No one was as certain as Feng Wuji. A peerless genius like him won't die so easily. Feng Wuji continued, not explaining where his doubts came from. All right. Moonfeather Earth Sovereign did not say anything. After that, everyone started to watch the battles in other territories. At this point in the battle, 5 territories had already entered the top 8. They were the God World Territory, Jiuxian Territory, Mingyan Territory, Annihilation Territory, and Burning Sky territory. In addition, the Heavenly Owl territory and the Extreme Immortal territory were still in a fierce battle. While everyone was paying attention to these territories, Knight Sorrow, who had been shocked by the explosion of the Moon Spirit's battle pet, recovered and went to the Tower of Eternity that he had yet to clear. He began to fight with the Holy Spirit on the 32nd floor. While the power of sacrifice was still present, he successfully defeated it and entered the 33rd level. Outside of the 4 Great Holy Lands, he was the first cultivator to defeat a Holy Spirit on the 32nd level. After defeating the 32nd level's Holy Spirit, a large amount of Earth Sovereign's laws immediately surged into Knight Sorrow's body. After absorbing the energy, he found that his strength had increased once again. This made him feel very good. I heard that after passing through this level, you can enter the true Eternal Divine Tower. I wonder how difficult it is. After entering the 33rd level, Knight Sorrow murmured and completely entered battle mode. However, after fighting for a while, Knight Sorrow realized that something was wrong. Originally, the Holy Spirits of the first 32 levels were the guardian beasts of the 33rd level. They were in groups of 8, guarding a high platform in the center of the 33rd level from 4 directions. On the high platform was a sleeping Holy Spirit. After sensing the aura of this Holy Spirit, Knight Sorrow was completely speechless. This was actually an Earth Sovereign level Holy Spirit. With my current strength, it's definitely very difficult to pass through the 33rd level. I'd better give up and search for the Moon Shadow Estate's Eternal Divine Tower. They probably didn't pass the 32nd level. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow left the 33rd level. Together with the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast, he searched for the Moon Shadow Estate's Eternal Divine Tower. After finding it, he also defeated the Holy Spirit on the 32nd level and absorbed its laws and essence. This time, Knight Sorrow didn't let the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast absorb it because he needed to continue to become stronger to make up for the lack of means. I wonder what the competition for the top 8 is like. Do any of you know? After absorbing the laws and essence of the 22nd level, Knight Sorrow asked. We're not sure either. Besides, no one in the Divine Realm territory should know. After all, no one has advanced to the top 8 before. Myriad Swordmaster said with a smile. At this time, everyone in the Divine Realm territory was released by Knight Sorrow to drink and celebrate together. After all, this was the first time the Divine Realm territory had advanced to the top 8 of the Battle for Providence. This had already made history. Even in the era of supreme longevity, the Divine Realm territory had never advanced to the top 8. Obtaining such results was worthy of their celebration. However, after drinking for a while, Xiaofan suddenly frowned and said, "To be honest, it's definitely a good thing to obtain such results this time. But I'm worried that after everyone goes out, they'll immediately be hunted down. We don't care, but Knight Sorrow is the hope of the Divine Realm's rise. If we're killed after leaving the small world." Xiao Tianxian had yet to finish when Yi Shang opened his mouth and said, "Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. Now it seems that I can only try my best to improve my strength in the battle for Providence. And figure out a way to protect myself. I wonder what the rewards for the top few are. If the reward can let you advance to the supreme stage, that would be great," Wu Lingfei said with a frown. Among everyone present, she was definitely the most worried about Knight Sorrow. Advancing to the supreme stage should be impossible. Advancing to the half-step supreme stage should be the limit. Knight Sorrow shook his head and said. Recently, the speed of his strength improvement had been quite fast. Now that he had advanced to the supreme stage in such a short time, it was very likely that it would cause the consequences of an unstable foundation. Then we can only take one step at a time. But we don't dare to do anything, as long as we have a clear conscience. At most, we'll all die together, Wu Lingfei said. Yes. If anything happens, everyone will fight together, Myriad Swordmaster also said with a smile. He was the more carefree one among them. Then, everyone in the Divine Realm territory continued to drink. After drinking with them, Knight Sorrow kept everyone back into the space grotto heaven and quietly waited for the power of sacrifice to disappear. One morning a few days later, Knight Sorrow, who was meditating, suddenly felt the strength in his body being sucked out. His whole body fell to the ground. I'm not sure if the battle for the top 8 has begun. But no matter what, I have to recover my strength as soon as possible. Yi Shang informed the others and swallowed an elixir to recover his strength. However, he had just recovered 70% of his strength. Suddenly, a teleportation rune appeared under his feet. Chapter 30:14. As soon as the teleportation rune appeared under his feet, Knight Sorrow felt a huge suction force. Then, light flickered under his feet. When he opened his eyes again, he had already appeared in a grand square. This square was even wider than the one outside. Standing on the square, one could feel the thick, divine qi. When Knight Sorrow appeared, he immediately saw the people from the other 7 territories. At this moment, after a series of battles, other than Ming Yan and Jiuxian territories, there were less than 10 people left in the other territories. Among them, the Realm of Gods and Tianshao territories were the most miserable, with only 1 person left. As for Ming Yan and Jiuxian territories, they each had about 50 cultivators left. Not only were their individual combat strength strong, but their overall strength was also overwhelming. The people from these 2 territories were now looking unruly as they locked their eyes on the last person left in Tianshao territory, Mu Tianai. After staring at Mu Tianai for a while, Ming Ke, the strongest person in Ming Yan territory, smiled and said, "Mu Tianai, I didn't expect this. As the champion of the previous competition, your Sky Owl territory will be so miserable in this battle for Providence. You're the only one left. If you encounter the Celestial Extinction territory, you won't be here anymore." Mu Tianya's expression was indifferent as he looked at Ming Ke with a trace of disdain. Ming Ke was ridiculed by this sentence and did not speak for a long time. At this time, Xian Qingyu, the strongest person in Jiuxian territory, smiled and said, "Ming Ke, he's alone. What are you afraid of? When the battle starts, we'll join forces to destroy him first. All right. Kick him out, and our territories will fight for the final championship to prevent him from taking advantage of the loopholes." Ming Ke smiled and nodded at Xian Qingyu of Jiuxian territory. Hearing this, Mu Tianai smiled and said, "When the top 8 competition starts, you can try. Let me see if you're as powerful as Ji Xian of Celestial Extinction territory." The overall strength of the people from the 4 territories is indeed much stronger than the other territories. At this time, Knight Sorrow used the Sea Serpent's Eye to observe and saw the strength of Ming Yan and Jiuxian territories. Among them, not only Ming Ke and Xian Qingyu were strong. There were also 2 or 3 people who were close to the level of the Saintess. If they encountered the Moon Shadow Estate, they would definitely be eliminated easily. Unlike in the Divine World, the battles there were not as tough as in the Divine World. As for the other territories, the Blood Fury territory, the Holy Spirit territory, the Annihilation territory, and the Burning Sky territory, their top fighting strength was about the same as the Moon Shadow Estate. However, after the continuous battles, the number of people left was much smaller. If nothing went wrong, the 4 territories were no match for Ming Yan's territory or Jiuxian's territory. After observing them, Knight Sorrow locked his gaze onto Mu Tianai of the Heavenly Owl territory. This Mu Tianai was dressed in white and held a folding fan in his hand. He looked elegant, but he gave off an oppressive aura. Knight Sorrow glanced at him with the Sea Serpent's Eye, but he couldn't see through him. It was obvious that the other party had a concealment treasure. You are interesting. Much better than Ming Ke and Xian Qingyu. The territory of the God Realm has produced a character. Mu Tianai, who was being scrutinized by Knight Sorrow, turned to look at Knight Sorrow and said with a smile, "Scum of the God Realm, you are the same as Mu Tianai. You will be killed immediately after the quarterfinals. If I were you, I would give up the last round." Hearing Mu Tianya's words, Xian Qingyu of the Jiuxian estate immediately looked at Knight Sorrow. At this moment, Knight Sorrow had only recovered 70% of his strength and his aura wasn't very strong. Xian Qingyu glanced at him and said with disdain, "You are interesting too." At this moment, Knight Sorrow ignored Xian Qingyu and said to Mu Tianai, "You and I are alone. Why don't we team up? We can eliminate the other 6 territories, and then the 2 of us can have a showdown." Mu Tianai didn't look at Xian Qingyu and said to Knight Sorrow. Hearing this, the people of the Ming Yan estate and Jiuxian estate shouted in disdain. As for the people of the other 4 territories, they were a little nervous. Mu Tianai was known as the strongest person in this year's Battle of Providence. His strength was unfathomable to the rulers. If they teamed up with Night Sorrow, they could be a threat to them. I will not team up with the enemy. Night Sorrow didn't even consider Mu Tianya's suggestion and said coldly, I am not lying to you. Back then, the Tian Shao estate didn't attack the Supreme Longevity estate. We are not your enemy. After Night Sorrow said that, Mu Tianai didn't get angry. Instead, he explained in front of everyone. Don't refute the things that everyone knows. Night Sorrow said coldly after Mu Tianai said that. Back then, in the scene that the Horn Race Paragon had shown him, the top 20 territories had all made a move. He would never forget this matter. It's fine if you don't believe me. Good luck. Mu Tianai said and didn't say anything else. At this time, Xian Qingyu looked at the people of the other 4 territories and said, I have a suggestion. Let's enter the final round and team up to eliminate Mu Tianai and Night Sorrow. Then we will fight. What do you think? I think this is a good suggestion. Ming Ke from the Ming Yan estate nodded in agreement when he heard this. He felt that if they could kick Mu Tianai out like what Xian Qingyu said, the final champion would definitely be from the Ming Yan estate or the Jiuxian estate. As for the Ming Yan estate, they would at least get second place. This was a safer choice. All right. The Xiao Ru estate agrees. The people of the Xiao Ru estate immediately agreed when the people of the 2 territories spoke at the same time. The other 3 territories thought about it and agreed as well. To them, although Mu Tianai was scary, the Ming Yan estate and the Jiuxian estate were even scarier. After they made their choice, Mu Tianai looked at Night Sorrow again and said with a smile, They are forcing us onto the same path. Night Sorrow, why don't you just agree with him? After all, Mu Tianai is recognized as the strongest person in this year's Battle of Providence. Night Sorrow did not speak. At this time, the Wanjian sect in the Space Grotto advised. He felt that joining forces with Mu Tianai was the best choice. Then, Yuan Fengxue and Murong Guerin also advised Night Sorrow to put aside his hatred for the time being. After they finished speaking, Night Sorrow replied through telepathy, I can't see through Mu Tianya's strength at all, but he is definitely much stronger than Ming Ke and Xian Chengyu. Working with him is like asking a tiger for its skin. It's very likely that we will become his cannon fodder. Anyway, we have enemies all over the world. We are not afraid of offending him. That's true. It's better to trust yourself than to trust others. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Xiao Tianxian immediately agreed. Genius memorized this site's address in 1 second. Chinese mobile version reading website, M. Chapter 30:15. That's right. Night Sorrow replied to everyone. Then he said to Mu Tianai, You're too humble. With your strength, you don't need to team up with anyone. You're interesting. I hope you can last until the end. Mu Tianai said with a smile. Then, he put away his fan and stopped talking. Meanwhile, the people from Ming Yan territory and Jiuxian territory had already started communicating with the people from the other territories. Obviously, they were discussing the details of their cooperation. Damn it! There are a total of 8 territories, and 6 of them are working together. There's also a group with the strongest strength. What's Brother Yi going to do when that happens? Isn't this just making things difficult for him? The master of the Myriad Swords sect grumbled in annoyance as the 6 great territories discussed their countermeasures. Looking at the current situation, what awaited Night Sorrow was definitely the most difficult path. Their cooperation won't last long. I just need to protect myself. Night Sorrow was much calmer. The situation in front of him was very difficult for him. However, compared to what he might encounter when he left the small world, it paled in comparison to the big one. He knew that since he had brought the realm of the gods to its current height, there was a 100% chance that someone was targeting him. As for who would attack him, that was not certain. All right. We'll deal with it as it comes. Let's take one step at a time. If there's no other way, we'll crush the identity plate. Xiao Tianxian also nodded. Like the others, he had sacrificed 30,000 years of his strength. He was somewhat disappointed. However, when he thought of the results this time, he suddenly felt that it was worth it to exchange 30,000 years of his strength for 10 million years of the realm of the gods. Night Sorrow. We've discussed this and are prepared to give you a chance. After the final battle, you will team up with us and kill Mu Ti and I. After that, we'll start the final battle. How about it? I saw that you rejected Mu Ti and I just now because you want to join us, right? Suddenly, Xian Qingyu from Jiuxian territory looked at Night Sorrow and said, You want me to join? Xian Qingyu's words surprised Night Sorrow. At the same time, he realized that Mu Ti and I was not simple. Mu Ti and I must be extremely difficult to deal with. Otherwise, Xian Qingyu would not have said that. Yes. If you join us, at the very least, you'll be able to get 7th place. This is the best choice for you. They wanted to isolate Mu Ti and I completely. Forget it. Not interested. After Ming Ke finished speaking, Yi Shang didn't even think about it and directly rejected him. Bastard. You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Upon hearing this, Ming Ke and Xian Qingyu were furious. In their eyes, they had already given Night Sorrow a lot of face by taking the initiative to persuade him to surrender. At this time, Night Sorrow sneered, Cooperating with you is tantamount to asking a tiger for its skin. I might as well drink a forfeit. Haha. He had character. It seems like I should pay more attention to you. Seeing that Night Sorrow had rejected Ming Ke and Xian Qingyu, Mu Ti and I, who was resting with his eyes closed, suddenly smiled. Mu Ti and I. Night Sorrow. Both of you must die. Xian Qingyu shouted angrily when he saw that Mu Ti and I and Night Sorrow were both calm and emotionless. Then let's see who's better. At this time, Mu Ti and I, who was smiling, suddenly released his divine territory and looked at Xian Qingyu fiercely. For a moment, his aura was like a great river. Xian Qingyu was suppressed by Mu Tianya's aura and could not speak for a long time. Useless. You're much weaker than Night Sorrow. Mu Ti and I said disdainfully. Then, he walked to a secluded place and sat down to meditate. After that, Night Sorrow did not speak anymore. He sat on the ground and patiently cultivated to recover his strength. About half a month later, Night Sorrow had successfully recovered 80% of his strength. In the next few days, Night Sorrow was still cultivating. However, above the square, a huge divine tower suddenly descended from the sky. Eternal Divine Tower? Seeing the tower, Night Sorrow murmured in confusion. This divine tower looked exactly the same as the illusory image of the Eternal Divine Tower. After observing it with the sea serpent's eye, Night Sorrow realized that it was not an illusory image. The real Eternal Divine Tower? The final battle of this battle for Providence. Will it be held in the Eternal Divine Tower? This is one of the few earthly sovereign artifacts in the Eternal Supreme World. Xian Qingyu from Jiuxian's territory also exclaimed when he saw this scene. Yes. And this is an ownerless object. If you can make it recognize you as its master, it will be a supreme achievement. Ming Ke from Mingyan's territory said greedily. Many others felt the same way. After all, an earthly sovereign artifact to the Eternal Supreme World was like the sovereign artifact of the deity realm. It was an earthly sovereign artifact. Seeing its appearance, even Mu Ti and I, who had been calm all this time, changed his expression. He whispered in confusion, I heard that those who see the Eternal Divine Tower can make it recognize you as its master. But in front of so many people, how can it be counted? In this year's battle for Providence, the host, Supreme Yu Ling, knowingly broke the law and has been executed by the rules. In order to prevent others from interfering and affecting the fairness of the battle, Supreme Yu Ling has been punished. The final battle will be held in the Eternal Divine Tower. Just as everyone was confused, the door of the Eternal Divine Tower suddenly opened. A Supreme Being puppet walked out from within. The puppet walked out of the door and said in a cold voice. So Supreme Yu Ling interfered with the battle and was executed. What a surprise! Hearing this, the myriad sword sect immediately laughed. The others from the deity realm also felt relieved. After all, Supreme Yu Ling had been targeting the deity realm since the start of the battle. Night Sorrow, you are in the same group as the Moon Shadow territory. Supreme Yu Ling's execution should be related to you, right? Hearing the puppet's words, Mu Ti and I immediately looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Maybe. Night Sorrow replied non-committally. Hearing this, Mu Ti and I and the others were sure that Supreme Yu Ling had died because of Night Sorrow. Mu Tianai smiled and said, "It seems that being able to see the legendary Eternal Divine Tower is a blessing to you. If we meet again, I will spare you this time." "Thank you very much," Yi Shang replied casually. He didn't care about this matter at all. At this time, Ming Ke was sending a voice transmission to the people of the 6 territories, full of murderous intent. The Eternal Divine Tower appeared because of Night's sorrow. In terms of fate, there is something to pay attention to. After we enter, it's best to kill him as soon as possible. Even if you don't say it, we won't let him live, Xian Qingyu said coldly. At this time, the puppet spoke again. Enter Master's Eternal Divine Tower and start the battle? Genius memorized this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 30:16. What? The Eternal Tower has an owner? Upon hearing this, Ming Ke and Xian Qingyu, who were originally very interested in the Eternal Tower, were shocked. The puppet did not respond to this at all. Instead, it continued, "All of you, enter through the door in front of you. Then, choose the passage to enter." Okay. Everyone present responded and entered the Eternal Divine Tower through the door in front of them. After entering the Eternal Tower, 8 doors appeared in front of them. Obviously, these were 8 passages. On each of the 8 doors, there was a word. Life, death, existence, fate, success, failure, is, heaven. After everyone had entered, the puppet continued, 8 passages, make your choice. Those who do not enter within 10 breaths will be eliminated. Which door should we choose? Looking at the 8 words in front of them, many people hesitated. The 6 territories, who were originally prepared to cooperate, were also surprised. They felt that there must be a reason for the 8 territories to have 8 doors. Now that they had joined forces, it was reasonable to say that they should be together. However, with so many people squeezing into one door, who knew what would happen? Let's choose a door for each territory. When we enter later, if we encounter each other, don't attack. Use all your strength to kill Night Sorrow and Mu Tianai. Xian Qingyu of the 9 Xian territory said and led the people of the 9 Xian territory into the life door. At this time Feng Wuji, who was watching from the outside, said coldly, "Cowardly and useless. The 9 Xian territory's potential has been destroyed. Wuji Earthly Sovereign, you are too modest. The 9 Xian territory is the most promising contender for the championship. At the very least, they can get into the top 3. They can escape the fate of being in 4th place every time." After Feng Wuji finished speaking, Yu Earthly Sovereign comforted him. "Our attention can't be limited to just one battle of providence. If the 9 Xian territory does not produce talents, I'm afraid it will soon decline," Feng Wuji said coldly. He was obviously very disappointed in Xian Qingyu. At this time, the other 6 territories also chose their doors. There were still 2 doors left for Night Sorrow and Mu Tianai. One was defeat, the other was death. Staring at the 2 doors, Mu Tianai laughed and said, "Ha ha ha. One is defeat, one is death. Night Sorrow, which one do you choose?" "You choose first. Just leave one for me. It's just one word, it can't stop me," Night Sorrow said casually. "How bold. You are much stronger than Ming Ke and Xian Qingyu. I hope you can recover soon so that we can have a showdown." With that, Mu Tianai waved his fan and walked into the Death Gate. He had chosen the 4 gates because he felt that he could fight his way out of a hopeless situation. Defeat. The last remaining Night Sorrow glanced at the word defeat on the door and slowly walked in. After passing through the defeat door, Night Sorrow immediately entered a desolate world. This world was filled with yellow soil and fine sand. It looked very dilapidated. Night Sorrow scanned the area with the sea serpent's eye and found no life at all. He said softly, "Is this the meaning of defeat? Dilapidated? I'm not sure what to do from now on. That puppet let us in, but it didn't tell us the rules." At this time, Master Wan Jian said unhappily. He had inexplicably entered a dilapidated world. His eyes were covered in darkness, and he didn't know what to do. This feeling wasn't too good. If we don't know what to do, the others probably don't know either. The rules are fair, Night Sorrow said, sat on the ground and began to cultivate. He wanted to recover his strength first. After cultivating for about 3 months, his strength had completely recovered. After that, Knight Sorrow began to lead the people of the Heavenly Realm territory to investigate the world in front of them. After flying for 30 million miles, they felt that they were about to fly to the edge of the sky, but it was still a dilapidated scene. They found nothing. This surprised everyone in the Heavenly Realm territory. They did not expect that by choosing this defeat door, they had completely chosen to be alone. Not only were there no enemies, but there were also no signs of life. Knight Sorrow, why don't you let us out? Let everyone feel the aura of this world. Maybe we can find something. After flying aimlessly for a long time, Wu Lingfei suddenly said. Although they could no longer use divine origin force and divine soul power, they could be said to be quite weak. However, there were no living creatures in this world, so they did not need to be afraid. Alright, everyone, let's come out and relax. Knight Sorrow said and summoned everyone. After being summoned to this world, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately said, "It's really a dilapidated world. There's a strange feeling." What feeling? Knight Sorrow immediately asked. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it's hard to say. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast thought for a moment but did not say it. At this time, Wu Lingfei suddenly said, I'm thinking, is this a formation? If it's a formation, then we need to break the formation. Break the formation and we can go out. This should be the meaning of this place's existence, right? That makes sense. Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Yuan Fengshui immediately agreed with a smile. Everyone discussed for a while and felt that what Wu Lingfei said made sense. It was very likely that they needed to crack it within the stipulated time to enter the final battle venue. Then what are we hesitating for? Let's split up and search for clues. Myriad Sword Sect said. Seeing that Knight Sorrow was about to refute, he immediately said, although we can't use our cultivation, our bodies are still there. If we don't encounter any ferocious beasts, there shouldn't be any danger. That works too. Everyone has a voice transmission stone on them. If there's any situation, immediately send me a voice transmission. However, before everyone splits up, let's have a cup of tea in peace. Knight Sorrow said and took out a tea set from his spatial Dharma artifact. He poured a cup of hot tea for everyone. After everyone finished drinking, he let everyone leave at ease. This cup of tea was called Heart Intoxication, and it had a very special aura. Those who finished drinking could use the Horn Race's secret technique to track them. This was his double insurance. After everyone left, Knight Sorrow suddenly flew to the clouds and used the sea serpent's eye to look down at the dilapidated world below. Standing at a high place, it indeed looks a little different. But I can't see any clues at all. Knight Sorrow, who was floating in the clouds, looked for a while and did not find anything, so he stopped using the sea serpent's eye. He looked at it with ordinary eyes. Looking at it from the perspective of an ordinary person, Knight Sorrow immediately saw more different scenes. This was something that cultivators could not see at all. For a moment, it had a huge impact on Knight Sorrow's state of mind. If I cultivate in this state of mind, I should be able to completely advance to the peak of the sovereign realm very quickly. Knight Sorrow, who was in a strange state of mind, immediately sat on the clouds and cultivated. Genius remembered this site's address in a second. Clan Mobile Version Reading Website. Chapter 3017. After cultivating for an entire year, Knight Sorrow was already very close to becoming a half-step supreme. However, he encountered a cultivation barrier and was temporarily unable to advance further from a higher juggernaut. Thus, he walked out of his cultivation state. Unable to advance further in terms of cultivation, Knight Sorrow immediately came out of his cultivation state. He continued to study the array formation of the small world in front of him. At first, Knight Sorrow immediately saw the scattered divine world cultivators and the chaos heavenly crystal beast below with the sea serpent eye. The chaos heavenly crystal beast still looked indomitable, while the divine world cultivators looked like ants. If he hadn't activated the sea serpent eye, he wouldn't have been able to see them clearly. However, after seeing everyone's position and direction, Knight Sorrow's mind stirred. The path they took gave him a lot of inspiration. It felt as if a trace of vitality had been produced in the dilapidated world. That kind of concept was very wonderful. It was as if it was recovering from the ruins and rising from the dead silence. For a time, Night Sorrow's understanding of life improved further. Although he didn't find a way to break the array formation in front of him, he obviously had an epiphany in terms of cultivation. I should be able to reach peak Juggernaut this time. After confirming that the Divine World cultivators were all safe, Night Sorrow sat on the clouds and started cultivating again. This time, his state of mind was clear, and his cultivation was extremely carefree. It took him around 3 months to reach the peak of the Tao Ruler Realm, which was the Half-Supreme Highness Realm. Phew! After passing the lightning tribulation, Night Sorrow immediately exhaled. That carefree feeling was almost the same as when he became a Juggernaut. Although Half-Step Supreme was only a small realm higher than a higher Juggernaut, it was a great improvement in strength. It's time to find a way to break the array. The competition in front of him had no rules. Night Sorrow felt that he had to cherish time as much as possible. Thus, he once again studied the way to break the array formation in this dilapidated world. In terms of concept, he had already comprehended it from the path others walked, but he still needed to study how to break it. However, just as Night Sorrow began to calculate, Wu Lingfei suddenly sent a voice transmission. Night Sorrow, I've already figured out what's going on with this world. Oh. What was going on in this world? Have you found a way to break the formation? Yishang immediately asked in confusion. He was pleasantly surprised. It's not a formation, it's the harmony of the mind. Wu Lingfei said briefly before continuing to explain, this broken world. What we need is nirvana. A broken world needs nirvana? Night Sorrow was puzzled. Yes. Let this dilapidated world be filled with vitality once more. Once I successfully undergo nirvana, I should be able to walk out of here. Wu Lingfei's voice sounded again. I've undergone nirvana several times in a row, so I understand this state of mind. Furthermore, he had successfully verified his thoughts. Take a look at me. All right. Yishang nodded and looked in Wu Lingfei's direction. Everyone else was still in the desert, but Wu Lingfei's location was already overflowing with greenery. The green vegetation and vines were like bamboo shoots after the rain, constantly growing. Not long after, even towering ancient trees grew out. That's true. Rebirth from the ashes, that's right. That's how it should be. In an instant, Night Sorrow's state of mind was also in sync with nirvana. Below Night Sorrow, countless green sprouts fought to be the first to emerge from the ground. I did it. I did it too. After all, Night Sorrow was also someone who had been reborn, so he quickly did this and then sent a voice transmission to Wu Lingfei. At this time, Wu Lingfei continued, then send a voice transmission to the others. I feel that as long as we fill the entire world with vitality, the way out will appear on its own. I think so too. I'll do it now. Lingfei, this time, you've really done a meritorious service. In the past, every time there was a problem, the person who came forward to solve it was Night Sorrow. This time, it was Wu Lingfei who helped him share the burden. This feeling was very good. After that, Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to the Myriad Sword Sect, Shao Tianxian, and the others. In the next few days, the broken world below was completely covered in green vegetation. You guys are very good. You can comprehend the true meaning of nirvana. Just as Yishang and the others had turned the entire dilapidated world green, above the void, a figure immediately appeared. This figure was very tall and looked about the same as the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Although there wasn't any aura flowing around his body, he naturally gave off an extremely powerful feeling. Night Sorrow, Wu Lingfei, and the others could not sense the cultivation of this figure at all, but in front of him, they felt very small and powerless to resist. Senior, who are you? When this figure appeared, everyone in the God Realm territory was already together. After he spoke, Yishang immediately gathered everyone around him and asked, what is it? Hee. I am the first master of this eternal divine tower. Yan Hengshi. The figure said and smiled. You don't have to be wary of me. I'm here to explain the rules. Explain the rules. Myriad Sword Sect looked at the void and asked with a frown. Yes. Explain the rules. I'll tell you how to leave this small world. Yan Hengshi's virtual shadow said and then continued. This small world was originally a dilapidated world. Because your minds were compatible, you were reborn from nirvana. The reward you received was the way out. However, if you want to leave, you still need to pass another stage. Senior, what is the other stage? Night Sorrow immediately asked. You will see it soon. As long as you defeat it, you can successfully leave this place and advance to the next stage. Yan Hengsher's figure said and pointed into the distance. Everyone in the God Realm territory looked around and immediately saw a towering green plant. The size of this tall green plant could be described as covering the sky and covering the earth. It was dozens of times larger than the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. It covered an area of more than 10 million miles. Just its tentacles alone could number billions. Half-step earthly sovereign realm. Using the sea serpent's eye to observe, Night Sorrow determined the strength of this green plant. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Yan Hengsher's figure immediately agreed. That's right, it's called the Heaven-Shrouding Radish. It's the half-step earthly sovereign realm. It's this small world's final test for you. If you are killed by it, you won't really die, but you will be eliminated. If you want to win the final championship of the Battle of Providence, defeat it. Senior, we will work hard. Thank you for the reminder. After Night Sorrow said that, he took everyone back into the space. With a golden heavenly halberd in hand, he directly attacked the heaven-shrouding radish. Clan M. Chapter 30:18. Wait a minute. Night Sorrow had just made his move when Wan Jianzong suddenly shouted from within the space grotto heaven. Brother Wan, what's the situation? Night Sorrow, who had stopped his move, asked doubtfully. His move was suddenly interrupted, and he suffered a bit of backlash, and some blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. However, it was not a big deal. Ask what the other territories are like, so that you have an idea. Wan Jianzong sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow again, asking him to ask Yan Hengsher about the situation of the other 7 territories. That makes sense. Let's ask clearly before we make a move. Wu Lingfei's voice also came out slowly. All right. In that case, I'll ask. In fact, Night Sorrow felt that the others were not too important, but since everyone said so, there was no harm in asking. After replying, Night Sorrow looked at Yan Hengsher, who was still in the void, and asked, Senior, how are the other 7 territories? Has anyone broken through the checkpoint? The other 7 territories have not successfully broken through the checkpoint yet. However, there are those who started fighting the final guardian before you. Yan Hengsher's shadow said and then said with a smile. In those territories where war broke out, several people fought together. This is the first time that a person like you has faced the guardian alone. As for the rest, I can't reveal too much to you. Thank you for telling me, Senior. Night Sorrow replied respectfully and sent a voice transmission. It seems that Tianshao territory's Mu Tianai hasn't started the final battle yet. In that case, our progress isn't considered slow. Yes. Let's see if you can quickly defeat the heaven-shrouding radish in front of you. Xiao Tianxian said and continued, I really feel bad for putting all the pressure on you. Brother Xiao, don't say that. You have already done enough. Isn't the small world in front of us broken by concubine Ling Fei? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then, holding the golden heavenly halberd, he flew in the direction of the heaven-shrouding radish again. Although the heaven-shrouding radish in front of him was already a huge monster, it was still growing. While he was talking to Yan Hengsher, the heaven-covering radish had grown by almost a tenth. At this moment, Yan Hengsher reminded, the heaven-shrouding radish only doesn't grow during battle. If you leave the battle and allow it to grow, it will eventually reach the level of an Earth Sovereign. Thank you for your reminder, Senior. Inferno Devil Subduing Spear. In the face of the heaven-shrouding radish, Night Sorrow's first reaction was to release flames that covered the sky, burning the heaven-shrouding radish's branches. Since Yan Hengsher had said so, he was prepared to fight and eliminate the sky-covering radish. You're seeking death. At this moment, the heaven-shrouding radish suddenly said in disdain and waved its thousands of branches. It forcefully tore apart Night Sorrow's flames. The next one to be torn apart is you. After tearing apart all of Night Sorrow's flames, the sky-covering radish let out a cold roar and extended countless branches of varying thicknesses. It extended towards Night Sorrow. It's hard to deal with. If I hadn't broken through a few days ago, I wouldn't have been its opponent. The heaven-shrouding radish's branches were like countless pythons, and each of them seemed to have their own consciousness. Soon, they extended towards Yi Shiwen from all directions. They wrapped Night Sorrow in it. Brother Yi, why aren't you moving or fighting back? At this moment, Night Sorrow didn't move or fight back, allowing the heaven-shrouding radish's branches to wrap around him. Wan Jianzong asked in confusion. Cast a long line to catch a big fish. I don't want to use a sledgehammer to kill a chicken. As Night Sorrow replied, the heaven-shrouding radish's branches had already wrapped around him. At this moment, Night Sorrow replied and then released the Supreme Reincarnation Spear. Abruptly, he charged towards the countless branches. The Supreme Reincarnation Spear exploded. Compared to the heaven-shrouding radish, Night Sorrow, who was as small as an ant, immediately exploded with endless spear radiance. These spear radiances weren't as simple as just light rays. Instead, they were illusions of golden halberds. This was the ability that Night Sorrow had obtained after advancing to half-step to Supreme Martial Artist. Boom! 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 After being bombarded by the spear radiance, the heaven-shrouding radish's branches were basically all shattered. You deserve to die! After Night Sorrow destroyed about 1/7 of its branches, the heaven-shrouding radish was immediately enraged. It let out a roar and attacked Night Sorrow again. This time, he learned from his mistake and didn't just use the branches to attack. Instead, it released a large amount of pollen while attacking. The pollen released was some small pink particles that couldn't be seen clearly with the naked eye, and it had a fragrance that would make one overtake it. This pollen must be poisonous. Night Sorrow, who was using the sea serpent's eye to observe the pollen, could tell that it must be very poisonous before coming into contact with it. If not, there was no need for the heaven-shrouding radish to release these things while attacking. Divine Origin Trapping Array. Facing the pollen and branches, Night Sorrow immediately used the Divine Origin Trapping Array to seal the space around him so that no pollen could take advantage of it. Now that Night Sorrow had advanced a half-step to Supreme Martial Artist, his strength had increased a lot. In terms of strength, he wasn't inferior to the heaven-shrouding radish, which was a half-step to Earthly Sovereign. Therefore, the Divine Origin Trapping Array that he had set up wasn't that easy to break. The heaven-shrouding radish continued to bombard him with its branches, but it didn't have much effect. Night Sorrow, you can't hide in the trapping array like this, right? Xiao Tianxian asked doubtfully when he saw Night Sorrow hiding in the trapping array to avoid the heaven-shrouding radish's poisonous powder attack. In an instant, the Divine Origin Trapping Array was completely surrounded by the branches. It felt like an ordinary person being entangled by a giant python, and the amount of pollen around him had increased significantly. Night Sorrow's choice was like drinking poison to quench his thirst. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. At this moment, Night Sorrow still didn't make a move. Instead, he set up another virtuous trapping array. After the double trapping array was set up, Night Sorrow completely opened his deity realm and added the power of merit into it. Then, he used the Treya battle secret technique to raise his strength to the peak. Then he said to everyone, "Next, I'll use my strongest attack. Success or failure will depend on this." Night Sorrow, go for it. Yuan Fengxue immediately shouted when he heard this. Although the people from the realm of gods didn't say much, they clearly expressed that they were prepared to share the honor and disgrace with him. That's enough. After the people from the realm of gods finished speaking, Night Sorrow let the phoenix battle armor around him burn. Then, he suddenly used the fire beacon smoke diagram that he had obtained from Yu Yen. After the fire beacon smoke diagram was released, it immediately blocked all of the heaven-shrouding radish's senses. Those branches that were attacking wildly also lost their target in an instant and started to swing blindly. Genius remembered this site's address in a second. Human Mobile Version Reading Website. Chapter 30:19. Even those that were originally entangled in the Divine Essence trapping formation quickly loosened and began to wave blindly. This fire beacon smoke diagram is indeed very magical. No wonder I couldn't see or sense anything at that time. After seeing the heaven-shrouding radish's performance, a smile immediately appeared on Night Sorrow's face. He waved the golden heavenly halberd and struck out with an even more powerful Supreme Reincarnation Spear. Night Sorrow's target was not the dancing branches in the sky, but the roots of the heaven-shrouding radish. Through the sea serpent's eye, Night Sorrow had already discovered that the heaven-shrouding radish's soul was hidden in the roots underground. Boom! When Night Sorrow's supreme reincarnation spear struck the roots of the heaven-shrouding radish, the sound of metal colliding was immediately heard. The hardness of the roots of the heaven-shrouding radish was actually not inferior to the golden heavenly halberd. Night Sorrow's attack actually did not penetrate it. At this moment, the heaven-shrouding radish had also determined Night Sorrow's location through the pain in its body. It seems that although the fire beacon smoke diagram is a divine artifact, it's not omnipotent. After being discovered by the heaven-shrouding radish, Night Sorrow did not panic. He pondered for a moment and used the gentle dragon roar on the roots of the heaven-shrouding radish. As soon as the gentle dragon roar was released, the branches that had already attacked Night Sorrow began to dance aimlessly again. At this moment, Night Sorrow seized the opportunity to swallow a few recovery pills. He summoned the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and said, "Help me harass the heaven-shrouding radish." At this moment, its perception is completely blocked. Use your advantage of having more tentacles. Just harass it? The chaotic heavenly crystal beast asked doubtfully. Yes. All you need to do is to make it badly battered. I'll try my best to kill it. Night Sorrow said and used the reincarnation spear technique. It merged with the golden heavenly halberd and blasted towards the roots of the heaven-shrouding radish again. When Night Sorrow launched this attack, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast had already stretched out its tentacles and kept slapping the heaven-shrouding radish's body. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast's attack immediately attracted the heaven-shrouding radish's attention. However, after waving it around for a while, heaven-covering radish realized that something was wrong. The thing that was attacking definitely wasn't Night Sorrow. Well done, Chaos. Reincarnation spear technique. Break. Just as the heaven-shrouding radish's attention was completely attracted by the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, Night Sorrow roared and attacked the roots of the heaven-shrouding radish again. Boom! This time, the heaven-shrouding radish, whose attention had been drawn over, was bombarded by Night Sorrow's attack on its roots. His divine soul was immediately struck. By the time it realized something was wrong, it was already too late. Night Sorrow had already burrowed into the body through the hole he had made. Attack his divine soul. Roar! I'll kill you! The heaven-shrouding radish let out a beast-like roar as its soul was continuously attacked. Since you want to kill me, I naturally can't let you live. After the heaven-shrouding radish roared, Night Sorrow's attack immediately became even more ferocious, stirring non-stop in its roots. Not long after, the heaven-shrouding radish was completely injured. Even its branches retracted, no longer paying attention to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Many branches directly reached into the roots through the hole Night Sorrow had blasted open. Obviously, it wanted to pull out Night Sorrow. Although its perception was blocked by the fire and smoke diagram, the heaven-shrouding radish could still sense Night Sorrow's location through pain. After being killed by me here, it'll be difficult for you to find a chance to turn things around. Facing the branches that the heaven-shrouding radish extended in, Night Sorrow snorted coldly and used the Supreme Reincarnation Spear in the roots. The Supreme Reincarnation Spear was used inside the heaven-shrouding radish. This time, the heaven-shrouding radish's divine soul couldn't withstand it and was forcefully shattered. Not long after, the heaven-shrouding radish completely lost its life, and those crazily dancing branches also completely stopped. Phew! It's really not easy to deal with. Fortunately, I have the help of Hun Dun. Otherwise, I wouldn't have succeeded so easily. After Night Sorrow walked out of the heaven-shrouding radish, he immediately thanked the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. In the battle just now, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was only helping Night Sorrow restrain the heaven-shrouding radish and was almost killed by the bombardment. The strength of the heaven-shrouding radish's branches could be imagined. It's really too strong. If you were a little slower, I would have been completely torn apart. Seeing that the heaven-shrouding radish was completely motionless and Night Sorrow had also appeared, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately said with lingering fear. It only had the strength of an intermediate sovereign, while the heaven-shrouding radish was a half-step earthly sovereign. The gap between the two was still a little big. If it forcefully resisted, it wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Thank you for your hard work. If I get good things again, I'll prioritize you. Night Sorrow comforted. In fact, he didn't expect to be able to pass through the heaven-shrouding radish so easily. At this moment, he was in a good mood. Hearing this, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately became excited and said, "Then let me absorb its laws and essence. If I absorb it, I will definitely be able to advance to the level of an upper sovereign." "That's fine too. But I want to keep a part of it. My friends can use it in the future," Night Sorrow said as he cut off a part of the heaven-shrouding radish's roots and put it into the space tunnel. At this time Wu Lingfei reminded, "Night Sorrow, ask Yan Hengshi if we passed." Yi Shang responded and looked at Yan Hengshi who was in the air. However, at this time, he found that Yan Hengshi's figure began to slowly fade. "Senior, do we pass like this?" Night Sorrow immediately asked when he saw Yan Hengshi's figure becoming fainter and fainter. Haha. At this time, a smile appeared on Yan Hengshi's face, but he didn't speak. He completely disappeared between heaven and earth. What's going on? The myriad sword sect in the space tunnel saw Yan Hengshi's figure disappear and immediately asked in confusion. "We should have passed, right?" Night Sorrow said doubtfully and once again broke down the essence of the heaven-shrouding radish with a chaotic heavenly crystal beast. It didn't take long for them to completely break down its rules and essence. At this time, Night Sorrow wanted to advance to the sovereign realm, so he had to absorb the rules and essence of the Earth sovereign level. Therefore, these were useless to him. However, he was prepared to leave these to Wu Lingfei and the others. After Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast completely broke down the heaven-shrouding radish. In the void, a huge spinning vortex immediately appeared. After it appeared, everyone immediately determined. This was the passage to leave the small world. "Let's go. We should have passed. I wonder how the other territories are doing," Night Sorrow said and flew up into the clouds against the wind. Then, he used the sea serpent's eye to observe the vortex. After confirming that there was no danger, he led the people of the heavenly realm and flew in. After the surrounding space stabilized, Night Sorrow found that they had appeared in a magnificent hall. At this time, there were already people in the hall. It was the people of the Ming Yen territory. Clan. Chapter 30-20. Ha! I really didn't expect this. The second one to pass is actually you, Night Sorrow. Seeing Night Sorrow's figure appear in the main hall, Ming Kei from the Life Extension territory said playfully. There was obvious disdain and sarcasm in his tone. "I also didn't expect that you would be the first to pass. In my opinion, you're far inferior to Mu Tianai." The other party wasn't in a good mood, so Yi Shang replied bluntly. Hearing this, Ming Kei immediately said angrily, "What did you say?" In his heart, he was still brooding over the fact that he was inferior to Mu Tianai. "I said that you're inferior to Mu Tianai. This is something that everyone knows," Night Sorrow said indifferently. Apparently, Ming Kei was more seriously affected by this sentence than he thought. After saying this, Ming Kei's originally gloomy face was completely filled with rage. He said coldly, "You admire Mu Tianai so much. Are you his dog? Are you relying on his power to suppress me? I can suppress you by myself. Why would I need Mu Tianai?" Night Sorrow, who was mocked by Ming Kei, also responded disdainfully. Now that he was a half-step supremacy, he was in the same realm as Ming Kei, Mu Tianai, and the others. Not to mention Ming Kei, he was confident that he could defeat Mu Tianai. "Ha ha ha. You want to suppress me by yourself? Anyway, the final battle hasn't started yet. Why don't we have a fight?" Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Ming Kei felt like he had heard a joke. The other cultivators in the Life Extension territory also laughed. They felt that Night Sorrow, a cultivator from a barren land, was too blindly confident. At this time, Night Sorrow asked with a smile, "In this one-on-one battle, is it me versus you, or me versus the entire Life Extension territory? Why would I need help to deal with you? Of course, it's you and me one-on-one. We'll fight to the death." Ming Kei looked coldly at Night Sorrow, as if he was looking at a dead man. Night Sorrow found this ridiculous. He looked at Ming Kei with some regret and said, "Your Life Extension territory originally had a chance to fight for first place. But because of your stupidity, you'll lose this opportunity." This was what it meant by a soldier can bear the brunt of the problem, while a general can bear the brunt of the problem. Come, let's fight. Bastard! Do you really think that you have a chance of winning? At this moment, Ming Ke felt that his dignity had been greatly challenged, so he immediately responded coldly. We'll know who wins and who loses after the battle. Yi Shang snorted coldly and continued. You make the first move. Let me see what methods the geniuses of the 4 great holy lands have. If you let me attack first, you won't have the chance to attack again. Ming Ke said coldly, but to deal with a guy like you who is blindly confident, I have to kill him instantly. I'll teach you a lesson in your next life. You talk too much nonsense. Knight Sorrow, who was already in the air, said, Can we talk with strength? Good. Since you're in such a hurry to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Very soon, you will understand that the 4 holy lands are not to be trifled with. Ming Ke roared as he took out a green tree branch and wrapped it around his wrist. Then, he took out a golden long spear and shouted, Golden spear armored horse. 1,000 arrows piercing the heart. Then, he used the golden long spear to attack with an extremely powerful aura. The moment this move was made, immediately, countless skeleton soldiers holding golden spears and armored warhorses appeared in the air. The rays of light that were shot out turned into thousands of sharp arrows and attacked Knight Sorrow from all directions. What a dazzling move! But this kind of move looks good but has no power. How can it be a threat to me? Is this the instant killing skill you mentioned? Knight Sorrow said disdainfully in the face of Ming Ke's golden spear, armored horse and thousands of arrows. Then, he waved his golden halberd and attacked with the roaring flame demon spear. The moment this move was made, the sky was filled with phoenix flames and burned all of Ming Ke's golden spear armored horse. What? This Knight Sorrow can easily break the leader's attack with one move. The strength he displayed is definitely above mine. Seeing that Knight Sorrow had easily broken Ming Ke's move, the first deputy leader of Ming Yen territory, Jing Kuan, was shocked. When an expert made a move, one would know whether or not he was an expert. The attack that Knight Sorrow had just made was something that he definitely could not do. This made Jing Kuan, who had the strength to enter the top 10 in this battle for Providence, very surprised. The other people in Ming Yen territory were the same. They originally had an endless sense of superiority. But now, they were all shattered by Knight Sorrow's attack. They instantly understood that the realm of the gods was weak, but Knight Sorrow was definitely not weak. No wonder you are so confident. You have some ability. Let's go again. Ming Ke's face was a little embarrassed when his attack was easily resolved by Knight Sorrow. He said coldly, Golden spear illuminates the world. Then, he waved the golden spear in his hand again and attacked Knight Sorrow. This time, the tens of thousands of rays of light from the golden spear all turned into light pillars that were 10 feet long and continuously smashed towards Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow dodged and found that these light pillars were not simple. They could track him on their own. He decided not to dodge anymore. He created a divine essence trap array and wrapped his body, allowing the light pillars to bombard him. Although the divine essence trap array did not completely block the attack of the light pillars, it still resolved a large portion of the energy. Then, these light pillars continuously bombarded Knight Sorrow's body, but they did not break his defense at all. After receiving this move, Knight Sorrow looked at Ming Ke and said, The second move. There's still the last move. I'll let you have 3 moves. Then, attack again. Let me have 3 moves? Damn it! You deserve to die, you deserve to die. Go to hell. As soon as Knight Sorrow said these words, Ming Ke's eyes turned completely red. Then there was a huge change in his eyes. His body looked different, as if an ordinary person had been possessed by a ghost. His entire person looked a little strange. Leader is using his ultimate move. This Knight Sorrow is really not simple. Seeing this change in Ming Ke, Jing Kuan's eyebrows immediately turned solemn. Because at this time, Ming Ke had already used his desperate move. If he could not defeat Knight Sorrow, the consequences would be unimaginable. At this time, Ming Ke had already entered a state of madness. Naturally, he did not consider this. With a dry voice he roared, Destiny descend! Annihilate Star Continent! In the blink of an eye, he had completely entered a state that was even more demonic than before. After entering this state, The aura around Ming Kei's body was at least 10 times stronger, and the protective divine domain was 20 times stronger. The increase in his strength could not be recorded in 1,000 miles. Now, prepare to face the fate of the destruction of your soul. Eternal Life Divination Technique. After roaring, Ming Kei summoned the nebula in the sky and smashed it toward Night Sorrow. It seems that this move is not as simple as the nebula, Yi Shang said with a slight frown as he looked at the nebulas crashing down from the sky. Genius remembered this site's address in a second. Human Mobile Version Reading Website. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.